first if I don't get him.
Right.
I believe that. I told him the same thing. No doubt. Well, what's going on, brother Ocelot, man? We here again, man.
Here again, man.
Same place, no same time, just about same time, but you know, we on time.
Nationality again.
Let me bring a few folks in, you know, make sure I get this shit up.
Okay then.
Hey, welcome to another episode of Barbershop Stories, the podcast, episode 64. We got brother Ocelot Williams in here, part 2, the Nationality conversation. We got Sammy No-Nos up here.
Yeah.
Leave all your beliefs at home. This is about knowing
That's
constructive conversation. Y'all ready, man?
In the building.
In the building, man.
Let's go ahead and crank up.
In the building.
Yeah, the last conversation was quite interesting. Of course, we had to run it back. Like, as we say, man, we had to run it back.
Replay.
And tonight sparked more interest. Running this thing back, and we got contrasting thought in the building. I'm gonna say that first.
Good.
Because we wanna always welcome anything that peacefully enters the room and wants to interject in the conversation.
Debate.
You know what I'm saying?
I love a debate.
So whether it turns to debate form, whether it turns to a peaceful brother agreement at the end of the day, or whether it turns to agree and to disagree, we gonna all pick up what we pick up, and like you said, eat what's in the wrapper and throw the wrapper away at the end of the night.
Don't eat the paper now.
But I like to think that brothers can always come together and come together on a level that we can compare thoughts and philosophy without everything always crashing. Cause I find out, now this just me, I find out a lot of times that I hear things from different perspectives, different philosophy, but I hear a lot of things to me that sound like it aligns. But you know what I'm saying? Everybody may want to see what we may want to see what everybody else think about that, or what the viewers think about that online. And hey,
I welcome all. Bring your children in, grandmama, granddaddy.
Yeah.
This is food for all.
And not just that, we get back into a lot of the conversation that we didn't get a chance to get to last week.
Right.
And hey, let's
About
just
the
have a
guns.
good
I
talk
remember the guns.
About our history. I ain't gonna use the word in that context tonight.
Right.
Because we learning different, so we trying to do different.
Right. Because black is a legal status.
Exactly.
Okay.
So if we're gonna talk about history, we're going to talk about our history, even though they want us to squeeze, and we do it all year long, even though they want us to squeeze in these 28 days that they call Black History Month, that came from Black History Week, you know what I'm saying, and evolved to what we know is now the whole 28 days, the month. Right. But we know our history is more valuable and should be dwelled upon more than what we do.
Oh, no doubt.
You know
what about the other 11 months?
Exactly.
Well, we went on break.
History being created every day.
Did we go on break for the other 11 months?
History being created every day.
So it's our history every day, every month. It's our history.
Yeah, man,
so nationality will always be the order of the day with me. So I want to get into the definition of nationality right here on the screen. Nationality, the quality or character which arises from the fact, not belief, of a person's belonging to a nation or a state, not corporation. Nationality determines the political status of the individual, especially with reference to allegiance, while domicile determines his civil status. Nationality arises either by birth or by naturalization. We'll get into that. According to Samini, nationality is also used as opposed to territoriality. We brief talk about extraterritoriality. When your children was at my house and your rules still govern your children, even though they was at my house, that's extraterritoriality. for the purpose of distinguish the case of a nation having no national territory. So now we got good grounds for what nationality is and the importance of nationality. Because a man that has no nation to pledge his allegiance does not exist. So law don't apply to you. A man that has no name or nationality, law don't apply to you.
So all these people keep getting up in the situation they're in, as far as with jail, tickets, abuse, murders, false imprisonments, all kind of stuff. How does that apply to them? Is it because they don't have a nation, or
right?
What?
When you don't come up under law, when I can't use law to govern whatever circumstances or situations you in, when I can't use law, I'm gonna have to make something up for you because law don't apply to you. I'm gonna have to use a code. I'm gonna have to use a statute or ordinance or regulation, but I can't use law with you because you confessed out your mouth, law don't apply to you. You said you was Negro, black, or colored. That's a brand.
So Black Lives Matter don't mean nothing.
What is it?
I'm just asking. I'm the fuck
I need to know what it is. I need to know what it is.
Black Lives Matter don't mean nothing. Or do you think they can be saying Black Lives Matter because they don't want to go all into that because they're trying to keep a sense of togetherness and not cause no division? You think that could be the reason why they say that too?
Majority of the people say it because they think black holds some type of consanguinity or bloodline or pedigree. That does not denote that. When you say that, now let's go to English grammar. All right. When you look up the word black and you will put it in its proper form of grammar, it would say adjective, right? So when you walk in some place or some venue, court venue, and say that you are a adjective, and they clearly see that you are noun, you said you're adjective, and they can see you're noun.
Yep.
So come on, adjective. You adjective? Come on. Now I'm gonna have to deal with you with codes, statutes, ordinances, and regulations. None of that is law.
So what?
At the end of the day, black describes you.
It's a description. It does not modify. Okay. For example, what color this shirt is? Black.
Black.
But it's a shirt. You see what I'm saying? We describe what this is. It is a black shirt. Now you take the description off of it, it's just a shirt. You follow me? You got to know language. Okay. You got to know language. And that's how they've been controlling us, because they've been controlling the language.
Okay. So you basically saying, well, now you basically saying, but when we fall up under this colorable situation, as far as being titled black, white, Hispanic, whatever.
Good word.
When we fall up under that brand, you saying that we're not entitled to the things that a person who is saying that they're a part of the nation, we're not entitled to the same thing.
Through ignorance, you waived your rights.
Okay, so all right, so people who fall up, who say they're a part of the nation, which is America that we stand in, what rights are they bound to as far as versus a person who's not?
Okay.
So do people who say, okay, I'm in America, but this is what I am, do they fall to some type of lawlessness that a U.S. citizen has to abide by?
So a U.S. citizen, let's get this understood, which can never be, now either one of us, we can never be a U.S. citizen, but through ignorance, people run up and claim to be a citizen of a corporation.
Okay.
Because when you say you're a citizen of the United States, now you got to define United States.
Yeah.
If you want me to define it, I'll go to Title 28 USC 3005 and it will tell you that the United States is defined as a federal corporation.
Okay.
So how can someone be of a impossible? Impossible. Your bloodline and your pedigree does not denote that you from this corporation. You from a nation of people. And you got to claim that out your mouth because your words are the first contract. In the beginning, there was the what? The word. So whether we sign anything, like I said last week, if I make an agreement with Bennett,
I got it.
and you're a witness, that's a contract. And ain't no paperwork been signed.
Okay.
We shook hands. I said it in front of you and him. You the witness. That's a contract.
But I think we in a situation where we get confused that well, I'm confused on right now. Just say if I'm confused that, okay, I feel like if I obtain my national status as a original or Aboriginal American,
Right.
what do I benefit as versus a U.S. citizen?
Okay.
Not being a part of that. I understand that you said the code is applied to people who are U.S. citizens. Law is applied to people who are national.
You just answered
who claim
that.
to be American nationals.
You just answered.
Okay, so when you say we perceive code and law to be the same thing.
Nope. Legal and lawful, two different terms. Legal and lawful are two different terms.
Okay, one thing we talked about last week was the driver license. I understand that you said that you obtain your American nationality.
Right. You don't need a license to travel.
You don't have to have the license, the insurance. How do you get to the position of saying that, all right, I'm still in this country.
Right.
I'm still in this United States structure.
Right.
But I'm not abiding by the code that everybody else around me is.
Right. That don't apply to me. Because reason why that don't apply to me, the United States Corporation, right? In 1787, they entered into a treaty that a lot of people don't even know about treaties, but they entered into a treaty with Morocco.
Okay.
And they asked Morocco, hey, can we do business in your land? And we promise not to disturb the Moroccan people.
Okay.
It was an agreement made, and then George Washington doubled back and got the people to call themselves something other than Moroccan people.
Okay.
So now, the treaty that he engaged in, it doesn't.
Talk about it. Treaty of peace and friendship.
It doesn't apply to Negro, blacks, and color, or whatever else you want to be. That the treaty don't apply to those brands. The treaty only applied to people who claim to be of a nation, that nation, which is Morocco, the land which we standing in, that's commonly called America.
Well, let me ask you this. A lot of people, I think they got a question about it, or they kind of feel a little indifferent about it, or unsure about it, because you said 1787, right?
Right.
Peace and friendly.
Treaty of peace and friendship.
I think some people would say right now that's null and void.
Nope.
And some people say if it is void, still intact, how would they enforce it?
The way you enforce treaty is you got to come up under treaty protection.
Okay.
So if you're not claiming to be a Moroccan, or you're not claiming to be from Morocco, that treaty don't apply to you.
Okay.
If you're a U.S. citizen, that treaty don't apply to you.
Okay.
It only applies to those who are of a government of a nation.
You got a question right there by brother Tamani Kapuka.
Yes, sir.
How you doing, Brother Williams?
Come on with it.
I tell you, you said so much right quick that it's hard to keep track. But first, let me take you back to, you mentioned a U.S. citizen. Are you saying that blacks are not, African Americans are not American citizens?
That's what I'm saying. And first, let me go back to the term you used, African American. Okay. What if I told you that I'm gonna take you on an all expense paid trip, right? And you say, where? I'm gonna say, we finna drive to African American.
Okay. Well, you do know the terminology of using the word African American. What it does, it's a distinct ancestral to the continent. It places you back, your ancestral heritages, back to the continent of Africa.
Right.
As do the word black. Because the black, to use the word black, it indicates the land of the black, which is the origins of all mankind, which is Africa, original mankind. So that's why you use the terminology of black and African American, because it tells you exactly where you're from. But getting back to African Americans or blacks, whichever term you want to use or not use, are not citizens. Well, everyone that is born in America is a U.S. citizen.
Okay.
And that is laid out in the U.S. Constitution. It's been there since 1865.
Okay.
If you'd like to elaborate on that a little bit.
Well, in law, the term black does not have a standing in law. Now, you can't. We've been here thousands of years, right? We've been here thousands of years. Okay. You cannot describe a people that been here thousands of years using a word that's only been on the planet 500 years. So meaning black is a English word. Its existence on the planet is only it don't go beyond 500 years. So what were we calling these people who we talking about are black? What were we calling them before then?
Well, we're not making a distinction of what they was called, but we're saying we're talking about the original people on this planet. And I think we can both agree that the black people or the people that we now call African Americans were the original people.
We agree right there.
Before anybody else, and we're talking about in millions of years.
Right.
Not hundreds of years.
Right. Thousands. But what we did, we got away from what we were known, our nationality, and we picked up a brand which was black, Negro, colored. You see what I'm saying? Now, we have a President Lincoln. Lincoln won a Supreme Court case because he proved that his client was not a Negro. And if you can prove that your client is not a Negro, then, because that's something made up, that's a brand. So if you can prove your client is not something that's made up as such as a Negro, you can also prove that your client is not something such as black.
Okay, I'm familiar with that case, Dungy versus Spencer.
Yeah.
1855.
Right.
In which,
William Dungy.
Lincoln represented Mr. Dungy.
Right.
But here's the thing about that. Dungy never proclaimed he was of African.
No. In Lincoln's defense, get what he said? He said, my client is not a Negro, right? He said he may be a Moor, but he is not a Negro, for it is a crime to be a Negro.
But see, that wasn't the subject of the case. The case was about slander.
Okay, so
Spencer, wait a minute now. Spencer said, was going around town saying that Dungy was a Negro.
right.
Dungy said he was of European ancestry.
Okay.
Okay, Portuguese to be exact.
Right.
So he never said he was a Negro.
Okay. And
So wait a minute now. So the court ruled in favor of Dungy because he came from Europe. He had European ancestral, and he never said he was a Negro. He was just, only thing that was implied was that he was of dark skin. Well, he wasn't dark, but he was a brown skin color.
right.
You know, hey, you can, You can say the same thing. You can say you're a European.
Right. And I can't.
What would prove otherwise? Otherwise, unless they had your ancestral history.
Okay. So the thing about that is the brother went around saying that Dungy was a Negro or nigger, etc. And at that particular time, they had Negro Acts. Okay, they had laws like Negro Acts. So if Dungy does not challenge what her brother is saying about him, then that makes him acquiescence, zip lip. And that means you silently agree because you didn't challenge. The man said you was a nigger and you didn't challenge it. So he had to challenge it because at that time they had Negro Acts. And if you don't challenge it, Negroes aren't allowed to have any land, anything. He can lose everything, even his wife, if he don't challenge what this man has said out his mouth as far as calling him a Negro. So he had to challenge that. He couldn't remain acquiescence or silent because it's Negro Acts out that would get your head cut off if you silent about someone calling you that and you don't contest it. That's what that case was about.
But the point of the case was the fact, and the reason the way they ruled the way they did was because that Dungy did not subscribe to any parts of being black at all, African American. He said from the court records, and I went back and looked at him, that he was of European ancestry.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the only thing he fought for, period. That's
Okay.
all it said.
And as far as that, we were everywhere first. We was, I know they call it Europe. We was everywhere first.
Let me ask
That's
you,
why he can say that he is of European ancestry, because we was everywhere first. The Europeans are our sons and daughters, period. They are our sons and daughters.
let me ask y'all something before we get off the Dungy thing, before we get too far. What's the difference with what would have happened to Dungy if they would have proved he was a Negro, though?
If he acquiesces or he silent to what this girl brother saying, and they got Negro Acts out, he fall up under that.
He fall up
Because he didn't challenge.
Okay.
Okay.
So basically, he was allowed to win because he could prove that his
He
nationality.
had a nationality.
So did he just say it? Because I mean, we still in course that'll slay a black man regardless.
Lincoln was his lawyer. In his
Okay.
defense, Lincoln pleaded that his client was not
I got you. Yeah.
what he was portrayed to be.
Okay.
And it didn't take much to prove
And it
that you ain't
stood
a
up.
Negro, because a Negro is a brain.
It didn't stand.
It didn't stand up.
When on no paperwork or not at this time.
You just slandered me out your mouth, and you need to give me $675 so I can give Lincoln $137.50.
Ryan, you got a question, sir?
Yeah, quick question. I think that in regards
So-
to the William Dungy case, that they proved that he was European ancestry, right? So, but the brother-in-law was running around saying he was a Negro, right? So,
Because he ain't like him banging his sister.
right. So how is it that he had to be of melanated complexion, right,
To even be
stated as a
accused.
Negro,
Yeah.
Right.
first of all, but then to establish his European ancestry, how was that? Because at that time,
Yeah,
to our understanding from Birmingham school education,
Uh-huh.
it was,
There's still slaughterhouses.
brown, blue, eyed, brunette, whatever, right? So what is it, how is it he's a Moor and of European descent?
Because you got okay.
Different question.
Now, more deals with your consanguinity, your bloodline, and your pedigree. You see what I'm saying? That's what more deals with. So if that's not on the table when you having interactions in law, then they're gonna perceive you to be somebody that you're not, and that in itself is fraud. So you got to have a name. You got to be in honor of your foremothers and forefathers to come up under national or international law, because treaties supersede any constitution. the treaties, the Constitution derived from the treaties. We don't know that because they never taught us civil politics. They never taught us that. They sent us the home ec.
Okay, with that being said, so they had to be, so in order for him to get off the case of being Negro, they agreed that he was a Moor.
He challenged what the brother was saying.
Okay.
And he didn't have no support. He couldn't support his claim.
Right.
So.
But it was agreed upon the court that he was a Moor, right?
It was agreed that he was not a Negro.
He was not a Negro.
Lincoln speculated that he may be a Moor,
Okay.
but he most definitely is not a brand.
So Dungy didn't rebut that fact.
No, Lincoln the lawyer. When you got a lawyer, you got to sit on mute.
He said he was a European.
Okay.
He claimed a nationality.
He claimed, but Europe is a country.
Yep, but he claimed
I mean, not
Continent.
continent.
Yeah.
But he claimed a nationality instead of claiming Negro.
Okay.
You see it?
Gotcha.
If you claim Negro, that's a lose-lose. I think
Basically,
it ain't even nothing to talk about.
Okay.
No matter what the issue is, I don't care who slapped you first. If you're a Negro, law don't apply to you. I got to make some shit up.
So basically, that's what he had to
Codes.
prove. He wasn't a Negro.
He had to prove that he had to challenge what the brother was saying.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he acquiescence, you silent. So you must be a Negro.
Since you mentioned treaties, let's kind of dig into that a little bit. Now,
Yes,
how
sir.
do treaties, the treaty between Morocco and the U.S. play into this whole thing here? Because that was a
87. Okay, how the treaties play into this is, in order for the United States to even set up shop in this country, they had to get permission from the Sultan of the kingdom, of the Empire of Morocco. So George Washington, at the time, he was plenipotentiary, and he wrote a letter asking him, the Sultan of Morocco, can we do business in this land? And the Sultan said, yeah, just don't mess with my folks. George threw his hand in the air behind his back, cool. And got the people to call themselves something else other than Moroccans. So now that the treaty don't even apply to you because we made an agreement not to mess with the Moroccans.
Do you have a copy of that treaty?
Yes, right here. I can send it to you.
Well, that's interesting because
And you can research. It's just a ref. Matter of fact, I'm gonna send you about 5 of them. The Treaty of Peace and Friendship of 1786 / revitalized 1836 between His Imperial Majesty of Morocco and the United States. Then you have the Jay Treaty 1795. You have the Treaty of the Lenape Moors, Delaware Indians, and the United States 1778. You have the Bay of Tripoli and the United States, Treaty of Peace and Friendship 1796. You have the Treaty of Ghent 1814. You have the General
talking
Treaty.
about the Treaty of Morocco.
All of these treaties.
Well, I got a copy. I pulled a copy from the Library of Congress.
Yeah, come on. You can come
Would
on
like
up.
to take a
Come
look
on up.
at it?
Okay.
I got a copy from the Library of Congress, who had the original documentation, and you would note there is approximately, I think, 25 articles. And for your review, I highlighted the only one that pertains to citizenship. The document pretty much just deal with war, things that should happen in war, a little bit about commerce, but there's only one section, I think that's Article 21, that deals with citizenship.
Right. But now, if you're a national of the land, you don't come up under code statutes. You're not in their jurisdiction, is what I'm trying to say. When you are a national, you take yourself outside of the United States jurisdiction because that's a corporation. And you cannot, even if you wanted to be, you cannot be a party to a corporation that doesn't even concern you.
Well, let me make sure I'm understanding you clear. We're talking about a treaty between the U.S. and Morocco, and what shall happen with the citizens of the U.S. and the citizens of Morocco. It spells it out, Article 21, exactly how that should play out in that treaty, and that's treaty 1887 through 1945.
So you said Article 21?
Now, check it out, buddy. I'm gonna say this. When you Negro, black, and colored, don't even pick this up. This don't apply to you.
All right, let me read the Article 21.
Article 21.
Then you got it highlighted, right?
Highlight.
I just say, because you got this XXI. I'm glad I know something. If a citizen of the United States should kill or wound a Moor, or on the contrary, if a Moor should kill a wound of a citizen of the United States, the law of the country shall take place, and equal justice shall be rendered. The consul assisting at the trial, if at any delinquent shall make its escape,
He run
the consul shall not be answered for him in any manner whatever.
at all.
So let me
I
ask,
know what you're talking about.
So let me ask you this: from what you read, what did you interpret from that?
Well, that simply says that if you are a citizen of Morocco, or you're a citizen of the United States, because it's more so sticking in terms of what shall happen to citizens of the United States, it says that you are on your own, basically. That's it, point blank, you're on your own. There's no, the U.S. is coming to get you. They're going to try to intervene on your behalf. Nor will the citizens of Morocco shall do the same. That's what it's saying.
To me, from what I got out of it, just my personal opinion, it was saying basically if you subscribe to the national, you know what I'm saying, as a nationalist with Morocco, it apply to you, meaning that, hey, you can't mess with these folks, and if so, you fall up under that law. That's what I saw.
So, if I have an interaction with someone that's not claiming to be a nationalized citizen, we have an interaction. Now, guess what we got to go to? To settle this dispute.
Which would be someone who is a U.S. citizen, right?
Right. Me and this U.S. citizen got to go to a treaty, even though he ain't a U.S. citizen. We got to go to a treaty to settle this dispute, because it just said if anything happened between a Moor and a U.S. citizen, we got to go to the treaty, to the agreement, which treaty supersede the Constitution.
Well, it spells it out, and like I said, again, the only thing it's saying is that you have to follow the laws of the United States or either Morocco. That's all.
The United States don't have laws. That's what I'm trying to get you to see. I know what that says. The United States can't. It is a corp. The United States is a corporation. They can't deal with law. They can only deal with codes, statutes, ordinances, and regulations.
Well, could you elaborate on the United States as a corporation? Because
I can more than elaborate. I can go to Title 28.
But before you explain that, we had a question on YouTube, and they asked the question, what's the difference between law and what was K1?
Legal.
Legal.
What's legal
Between
and lawful?
legal and law.
Okay, like I stated last week, on this road right outside this barbershop, it's a speed limit that determines how fast you should go, right? That's legal. That's not lawful. If I go beyond that speed limit, I didn't break a law. I broke a code. I didn't break a law. You don't want to know why I didn't break a law? Because no one was hurt or no one's shit was tore up from me doing whatever speed limit I did. So until a law is broken, no crime has happened. In order for you to get sanctioned under a code, or ordinance, a statute, or regulation, guess what you got to give? You got to give your consent.
Well, consent is given by the people, because this road out here was, it's there because of the consent of the people. The people gave a vote to their representatives. Say, for instance, because that's a state road. They gave their consent to their representatives to vote and pass laws, and that law would put that speed limit out there. So if
That's
you
not law.
exceed that speed limit, then you have broken the law.
No, that's not law. I'm
Well-
gonna challenge that. That's not law. A speed limit is a code, a statute, or has it always been speed limits out here? I'm just saying. Have we always? Was I going 40 in my horse and carriage?
Well, I tell you what, just in case, I bought the Alabama Constitution, the full Constitution, all of it.
Right.
If you like to look through here, it'll tell you.
All right, so let me ask you that. I'm gonna just get it right because it said there's a difference between lawful
And legal.
and legal, right? So if the law fell up under a treaty, anything come up out of that would be almost like a revision, wouldn't it? Like you were saying, codes, statutes.
Well, the thing is that the United States is a sovereign country.
No.
No treaties,
No.
and especially not that one, falls that supersedes the Constitution of the United States.
No. The United States is a federal corporation owned by the Pope of Rome.
Well, the Constitution, and I bought the U.S. Constitution with me, and it don't say that here.
It shouldn't. I'm pretty sure it wouldn't say that. But now let me read what a ticket is. Cause we was talking about legal and lawful, and if they catch me doing 60 out there, they gonna give me a ticket, right? Okay, now let me explain what a ticket is. A ticket. Summons is a suit against you. You must counter it lawfully. Although it has been presented unlawfully, because the person who brings suit against you cannot serve you too, and they certainly can't also be the witness for prosecution. Many hats a simple police officer wears, while his actions are a violation of separation of powers. By doing so, he is acting unlawfully in both his professional and personal capacity, and is acting under color of office and color of law. Often, particularly regarding traffic, officers are acting as collection agents for other agencies and are taking action against you for a supposed debt or failure to pay a contract that doesn't lawfully exist, usually a surcharge, which in itself is an unlawful impost. Therefore, at the moment of hindering you from traveling, he is acting as an agent for an agency and not as a public trustee. This is the game that has been used against the people to exploit them while also violating their substantive rights, and that's the right to travel. I can travel on any roadway I want to.
Citation on that.
I can give you I ain't got it on the bottom here because I cut it.
Where'd it come from?
I sent it to
Somebody
you.
had to write it.
Yeah, I'm finna send it to you. Give me 1 second.
Well, like I said, I have the Alabama Constitution, and we know who wrote this.
You're not a party to that,
We know who wrote this.
but you're not a party to that.
No, I'm not a party to it, but you are. And you know why?
I ain't gonna say that out my mouth.
Well, because, I'm gonna tell you why, because you are a citizen of the United States of America.
No, I'm not. I am not. You are.
Have you denounced your citizenship?
I never claimed it.
Have you denounced your citizenship?
I never claimed it. I'm a national.
The 13th
I claim my
Amendment.
nationality. That denounces anything
You
foreign.
claimed it with whom?
The United Republic of Morocco.
What is that?
You don't know about the that is our government structure that a lot of people don't know nothing about. I know.
No.
Because we don't know about it.
Well,
But if you knew about it,
where were you born?
what that got to do with it?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I was born in Alabama.
If you're born in Alabama, which is inside the United States of America, you're familiar with
The United States is not the United States does not denote a geographical location.
Are you
This
familiar
land
with the 13th Amendment?
and the 14th.
Okay, the 13th Amendment said any person born within the boundaries of the United States is a citizen. Now, you can get out of it by denouncing your citizenship and changing your name.
I just claimed my nationality. I'm not a citizen of a corporation, no matter how bad I want to
Claim
be.
your nationality with whom?
With Morocco, with the land you standing in?
With Morocco?
You don't know that this Morocco?
No, it's not Morocco.
You saying that? You saying that?
United States of America last, like.
I know what they told you. I know why you saying that. Listen, believe me, I know why you saying that this is the United States of America. But I'm gonna tell you that the United States does not denote a landmass. That is a federal corporation that has not always existed. They made it up to do business in this land.
Well, this is not, the United States is not a corporation. The United States is a republic.
What if I gave you a Supreme Court case to tell you that, to confirm that the United States is a federal? What if I sent you to your phone a Supreme, you believe in the highest court?
Well, if it comes with citations.
Yes, I'm gonna send you the case where you can read it.
Be from the actual court citation.
The Supreme Court is the highest court in the land.
It comes from the Supreme Court.
The Supreme Court is the highest court in
You
the
can go
land.
to the Library of Congress and pull it out.
I understand.
Hey, I think he's looking for proof of
Proof in
what
the-
you're saying.
Proof in the pudding.
Prove the U.S. is a corporation. Go ahead. Know how to see
Title-
it on paper tonight. Hey,
Documentation beat conversation all day long.
Yeah,
yeah, dude.
Barbershop Stories, the podcast, episode 64. This
we
is
got
a
a
good
good
one.
one.
We
Yes,
talking
sir.
about this nationality, and I think it's great dialogue. And the word is out there, they say us melanated people can't have no conversation without understanding. And I disagree because we're having one now.
We getting
Back
one
to you,
now.
Ocelot.
Two different perspectives and philosophies.
the United
Why?
States.
And I understand, because I've been hearing these people running around talking about the United States as a corporation. But what they're missing is the fact that the United States, some of their federal authorities, agencies, may operate corporations. And from that, a lot of times people think that, the United States is a corporation. Well, the United States is a republic. And
It used to be.
The republic is composed of 50 states and one district, federal district, which is Washington, D.C. And of course, there's 15, 16 other territories that's involved too, But the truth of the matter is that this country is a republic, and a republic is a collection of states, and there's 50 states here.
The United States started off as a republic, but the republic, United States, was dissolved in 1861, and they dissolved it with no date to adjourn. So they dissolved what's known as sine die, with no date to come back to reconvene. In 1871, that's when another United States corporation popped up, and they dropped the republic. They dropped the term republic.
A republic is the people.
De jure.
Yeah, it's the people governing within a nation governing themselves, right?
They dropped the republic.
It's not states joined together.
They dropped the republic and picked up democracy. And the word democracy is nowhere in the Constitution, period. Just the word democracy is not in the
Let me
Constitution.
answer that right now. Because first off, democracy is what we would like for it to be. But
That's what
going
you
back
would
to the
like.
republic, a republic, like I said, is a succession of states, and of course, what makes a state? The people makes the state.
Okay, yeah. Well, that's the definition I always seen. I don't think I ever seen the word state associated with it.
I'm glad you said that. The
Well,
people make
the
what?
same thing is because see there's often a confusion between what is a democracy and what is a state, and what is a republic. But a republic, again, because if you remember your civics, the founding of this country, there was only originally 13 colonies, right? Okay.
That was on the run from Great Britain.
Right. 13 colonies, and which they came together and formed a collection of what we call now states. All right, but let me take you back. Let me go back to you mentioned 1861. Now, are you speaking of the Confederate states that withdrew from the Union in 1861? Is that what you're making reference to?
No, I'm speaking of the United States corporation that you call a country. 1861, they had their last meeting with no date to reconvene. They just dropped the ball. It's over. And then 10 years later, another corporation birthed, and now all of a sudden they back. No, that's not who was here first.
Well, no, that's not good news there because the Union, the United States, has never ceased to exist. Now, we had a separation there in 1861 with the secession of the so-called Southern states, what we call the Confederacy. During that time period.
Okay. All right, Ryan, you got a question, sir?
Yeah,
Or comment?
the conversation's solid. I just think we just having a miscommunication on terms, right? So one of the words that we're using is country and government. There's a difference between the two. We call America what? A melting pot, right? A country is a people that has one mother. So they have one language, one religion, all that makes that fine social group, right? America's is a melting pot. Can we agree on that?
America is a what?
It's a lot of different nationalities here.
It's a melting pot.
Yeah.
So
That's
with,
our nationality.
so with that being said, technically, the United States is not a country. It's a government that brings in other nationals under one governing body. Now, when you talk about American and America, you have the Americas, right? So
The
you have-
Americanas.
So with that being said, you got two major continents of America. You got North America, South America.
Central.
So that means if you from South America, from Portugal or Brazil, you still in America.
You still.
If
Thank you.
If you from Canada, you still in America.
Thank you.
Why? Because you're on the American continent.
Thank you.
Now, getting back to states and states and government, which we're having a conversation on, right? And building on that country. We're on agreement about what a country is, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so with that being said, next step. The United States government is a conglomeration of unity, right?
Well, it's a republic.
Republic, right. So that's what it started off as, right?
It started off as.
That's what it still is.
No, that's
Let
how
me give you
they-
a definition of republic. A state in which supreme power is held by the people and their elected representatives.
They elected.
And which has elected or nominated president rather than monarch. Now, it didn't say made up of states. It said a state. You know what I'm saying? So, but like I said, I just interpreted it different than what you said because my whole outlook on it is
Right.
it being a republic before the United States was formed because it was always a body of government that was governed by the people, and
That's right.
it was elections being made before George Washington and the United States moved in, and there's history of that. Now this is stuff we were taught in school, so I mean I'm not saying that the U.S. Constitution and everything that we brought forth tonight is not proof of what you're saying, but I think, like we were saying, I think it's a difference of philosophy coming into class here, and we want to make sure that the audience know that we're speaking from two different sides of the globe. When you're saying that one person is speaking the laws and confines of a U.S. citizen, which you believe to be the country that we're in, the United States of America, and one person is speaking from the confines and the laws of a person that's governed by what you're saying to be the original republic before Washington, before the United States and all these things moved in. So that's why I want to make sure we keeping the dialogue kind of along those lines. Not that we're not.
Right, but definitely we need to keep it keep the formation of this country
Exactly.
Chronological.
That's right.
Direction. Now, speaking back to that, when you mentioned about a country, we're speaking only of the USA, the United States of America.
Okay.
Yeah, America is basically, you got Canada, you got South America, as well as U.S. But we're speaking of what's going on in the United States of America and the formation of the United States of America. We originally started talking about the formation of before 1776, the American Revolution, when there was originally 13 colonies. And again, like I said, I think some of the confusion come in because Virginia came into, was established, the Virginia Company. Now that was a corporation, but as the United States formed and began to write their laws and put together their citizenship, started getting everything together, that was thrown out. And it was a republic was formed. And it is still a republic today. Now, I got the most current U.S. Constitution right here.
So we're speaking about the history we were taught being formed at that point. The point where you're talking about from that point forward.
Well, what I'm saying now, from 1776, and the U.S. Constitution was ratified in 1787, 81. That was ratified then, and it has not changed. The only time we had, and it wasn't a disruption, was in 1861 with the secession of the southern states, which called themselves the Confederacy. And of course, they did in turn come back into the Union, right? One by one, starting in 1865, 1866. And they was led back into the Union. So, with that said, we're talking about one republic of the United States of America. The treaty that you brought forth, my good brother, the United States have a treaty just like that one with all the other countries that they trade with. So that's nothing, unusual about that. That's a treaty that goes along with every other country that the U.S. trade with. Peace and friendship.
I want to hit that treaty line for line on that number 21 that you. We got to go through that one line for line and get some dialogue on that.
You had a question before we moved on, because I wanted to say something, but go ahead and finish what you were saying earlier.
Well, I just want to make sure, because we pretty much saying the same thing, but we have to have an agreement on what words mean, right?
Right. Etymology.
Because I think it got multiple.
Stay in here, man.
Okay.
Stay in
What
here.
we do, we look at, there's 50 states.
Right.
What are those 50 states called?
They used to be called the estates. Before they were called the states, they was called the estates, which held allodial titles since 1913. But after 1913,
They're still called of states.
they don't call estates. They just refer to as the states. I don't hear people saying the estates. They talk about the United States or the state of.
What do you mean, 13 colonies?
It's not commonly.
No, we're talking about the 50 states. What are they called? And it's still called the United States of America.
Before it was called just the regular states, it was called the estates with the E in front of states. And they held allodial titles until 1913, and then the property started.
Because I'm showing you mine.
Right.
Let me see your citation.
Okay, I send it to you. Everything is right here between this computer and this phone, and I know you ain't just gonna get out the door on me. So whatever proof you need or whatever reference points you need, I will be more than happy to give it to you.
Okay, now, with that being said, that there is nothing that any writing that supersedes what's in the U.S. Constitution.
Where the Constitution come from?
That is a collection of the Republic, all the states coming together, like I said, Republic. It's by the people because the people elect their representatives.
Well, what supersede the Constitution?
There's nothing that supersedes.
Treaties. Thank you.
I see that
Treaty
that
supersede
Republic word, that's where the difference that coming in, that
Treaty
Republic
supersede.
word.
All right, let's go to the Constitution.
All right, well, before you read,
That's where the difference come in at.
Article
Yeah.
6 of the Constitution.
Before you read that, let me ask you this. So, it was saying that the Constitution was agreed on by the states, right? But currently, and what we done seen, that it was referring to what they call quote unquote black people, 3/5 of a man. So how can all the people been agreed on something that's still in place, and them people that have no part in making it? So would that truly be the states actually agreeing on that format, or would that Constitution be null and void, or would those treaties be null and void?
Okay, let me deal with the 3/4.
3/5.
Right there.
3/5.
The 3/5.
We talked about this Saturday.
Where you get that from?
The same Constitution you read?
Okay. You want to look it up in here and see that? See what it says?
We might need to read it because I think there's a lot of people that carry that same
Yeah,
thought.
absolutely.
So let's clear it up.
But, and here's the thing, where did it come from? It came in
Same place 40 acres and a mule came from.
The Missouri Compromise of the election coming up to 1870. That's where that came from. And what they was trying to do, they was trying to figure out how do southern states, it was a voting thing, all right? The majority of the enslaved people were in the South. Now, it wasn't that many white people in the South, but most of the enslaved people was in the South. Majority of white folks was in the North. Okay, and so what they had was this, you know, the dilemma was, do we count the enslaved people? Because if they did, well, that would put more representatives into the U.S. government. You know, they would have more representation.
Right.
If they counted the enslaved individuals as one whole person like they do the white people.
They were all
So
set.
they came to a compromise that, well, what we're gonna only do, we'll just count for every 5 slaves, we'll just only count 3. So that's where the 3/5 come from.
That's where it comes
So, but we know, as black people, we know they considered us as 3/5 human anyway, non-human at all. But
I can see how that can be. Exactly. I can see how that can be relayed to over
That's
time
what it is.
Now,
without clarity.
let's
That's
go
good
to
clarity though.
Let's shoot the etymology real quick. You said the word slave, right?
Enslaved.
Enslaved. The word slave itself comes from Slovakian descent. So if I'm of Slavic descent, then I can be considered as a slave. If I'm not of Slavic descent, I can never be a slave. I don't care who all was captured in my family, I can never be a slave because slave denotes a nationality that I'm not a part of. I'm not Slavic, so I can never be a slave. See how we got the terminology wrong? And another thing,
Right there,
okay, all right. We talking law. We talking law.
Because you're right about the word Slav come from that part of the world. But it meant a enslaved person, and that's what they was, in terms of everyone on this planet who has been enslaved, that has been the word.
I know.
I don't know.
That's the word been
Derived
commonly used
from the text first though, right?
But you ain't talking etymology when you say that. Just like when you say the word white, you're not talking etymology because when you talk white, you talking about me, because white has nothing to do with complexion. It has to do with a legal status. Black and white has nothing to do with complexions. It have to do with a legal status that
But
belongs.
if you're talking law, it's not about color at all. You know, if we're
If
talking
you say it is, they gonna make it about
we're
color.
talking law in the 18th and 19th and parts of the 17th
Colorable.
century, then we're talking about
Colorable.
we're talking about a status of people here in this country, and they were black people or African Americans.
So does wordplay play a role in a court case?
It plays a big role.
Yes.
In every.
Yeah,
in
like
every
that's a
country.
legitimate question, because don't get me wrong now. I mean, it's interesting, and I'm sure everybody who listening, we all learning. And of course, it's Barbershop Stories, the podcast, episode 64. Back to myself. All right. Now, when you go in court, does wordplay not make a difference?
It makes all the difference.
Well, the thing is, see, we're talking about specifically things that are in the U.S. Constitution.
But, which
Law.
is
We're
wordplay.
talking law.
But which is
We're talking
wordplay
law.
though, right?
We're talking law. So now you can go into any courtroom down there and say, well, you know, we got 5 black people in here, but we gonna only count 3 of
Ain't no
them
case.
as a whole.
Ain't no case.
You know, no, they're gonna throw that out because that is not, it is known, common fact is known, and if we go back to the Constitution, and I hear people talking about the 13th Amendment, they would know that that has been thrown out. That is no good. That is moot.
So let me ask you this. So I can be clear on it myself. If a treaty, out of the treaty came constitutions,
No,
when the constitutions go to ratifying and all that, would that be unlawful?
the U.S. Constitution supersedes any treaty anywhere. Any treaty anywhere.
Prove.
It's composed of the confines of treaties.
Read the book here.
It's composed of the confines of treaties.
what and that's what I want. I don't want you to do. I don't want you to just get into that book
see,
because.
we gotta have citation, and there's no better citation than the law.
Can I read something? Can I read a quote? A quote from a. It says, "The basic tool for manipulation of reality is the manipulation of words. If you can control the meaning of words, you can control the people who must use the words."
Okay.
Now, for example, you keep hollering black, black, black.
Black and African American.
That does not have a standing in law. You don't have a case. I don't care who did what to you. It wasn't your fault. They did it first. You don't have a case because law don't apply to you. You just said you are a legal fiction.
Well, give me a case. I'm not talking about a case 200 years ago. Give me a case.
Stare decisis. You can use through stare decisis and res judicata. I don't care how old the case is. If it got the same principle,
It makes a difference.
if it got the same principle and the same nature of your case, you can use it. I know you done seen Law and Order. Hey, Your Honor, case such and such such. They using that because of stare decisis and res judicata, because that case got the same principle and the same nature as their case, and they can use it in their defense.
Cite a case after 1865.
It don't matter. I just told you through res judicata, it don't have a timeline on it. There's no timeline for a case through stare decisis and res judicata.
It do matters. It matters.
Law said it don't matter.
It matters. That's
Okay.
why we have. Well, let me take you back a minute, because you said, you know, the U.S. Constitution is some kind of fictitious document, right? It's not the law of the land. That's what you're saying. So, what law governs? I think it's over 350 million people of this country. What law?
Law don't
What
govern.
laws are they operating under?
Mostly codes govern this land. Mostly regulations. Mostly statutes. Mostly codes, ordinances. That's what govern this land. Not law, because the people that we call judges that sit in these municipal buildings that we commonly call judges, they're not judges.
Well, let's take it up a little bit higher than judges. You know, up in the District of Columbia, you got 2 houses, right? The Senate and the House of Representatives.
I'm not a party
What do
to
they
it.
do?
I'm not a party to it. I don't know what they
What
do.
is their purpose?
I'm not a party to the United States anything. I don't know what they do.
Okay.
So I don't fall under their
What makes you not a
jurisdiction.
party?
Huh?
What makes you not a party? Was you born in this country?
Was I, what is this country? Was I born, you saying was I born in Morocco? Yes, I was born in Morocco.
You was born in Morocco.
Right.
Okay, and you have a U.S. citizenship.
No. My mama gave me a birth certificate because she didn't know no better. So I got a birth certificate just like you got one. I got a social security. I rescinded my contracts with them. I rescinded my contracts.
Did you denounce?
I rescinded my contracts and claimed
See, now
my
you're
national.
playing on words.
No, I claimed my nationality.
You're playing on words. I asked you, did you denounce your citizenship? And you're saying you rescinded.
I just claimed my nationality.
So is it a difference?
It's a difference. If
So
you
if you-
denounce your citizenship,
To what?
you have no rights to nothing in this country.
You don't have rights as a United States citizen anyway. You only get privileges. That's what I'm trying to get you to see. Because you claim to be a citizen of a corporation, you waive your rights for privileges.
What do the 13th Amendment say? That a book. I say you have yet to pick it up.
Because I know about legal fiction. I'm not legal fiction.
Well, for the people.
I'm not a
Difference
legal
in philosophy,
Amendment.
fella.
I'm not legal fiction.
Can I ask a question?
Difference in
Please,
philosophy.
please.
I know I'm late. Sorry. But,
You on time.
Well, how you doing, Joel? What's happening?
How you doing?
Okay, one.
See everybody.
All right.
K1.
She was on the radio today.
What's the difference between rights and privileges?
Okay. A right is substantive. You born with rights. No one have rights to give you. You born with unalienable, inalienable rights. You born with them. No, you can't go to a building and someone give you a card. Now you think you got a right to drive. No, he just gave you a privilege. You forfeited your rights when you signed that contract in exchange for privileges. A right is something no one can give it to you. It's inherent. You born with it. And a privilege, if I feel like it. If I feel like it.
So when civil rights was established, you saying that you should already have that anyway?
With civil, you gotta understand.
Because we know we were given rights within civil rights policies.
I think
Not on their platform.
So when you say you're born with rights, meaning naturally as human beings, these are things that we are supposed to automatically have. When you say that we exchange them for privileges, what's happening is it's almost like that person, or let's say the government, is taking what naturally belongs to us, and instead they're able to control it and
Sell it
Right.
back to you.
Yeah, I
So
see what
you-
you're saying.
so
They
you don't-
selling you something that you was born with. Because you got to understand what a license is. A license give you permission to do a thing that would be otherwise illegal.
Well, they do say in the state of Alabama it's a privilege to have them licensed.
How is it that someone can give you permission to go from this barbershop to your mama house? That's your personal business. You're not conducting commerce. You're not conducting trade on the highways and byways. So you don't need a license to travel.
Well, you know what you did. You just quoted the Declaration of Independence, but you said you don't subscribe to the United States. But you know that's what you did.
Well, treaties come first. Now you can say I quoted that, but
Show me your citation.
I'm saying treaties come first.
I want to go back. Well, I can't get off the Republic thing for sure because I still think we still have a difference of interpretation on that Republic when you said the states and the Union. You said Union, right? Or the states and you said all the states sat down with the Republic and formed the United States.
Well, all of the states together make up the republic.
Okay, you said that, but when we were talking about the makeup of the United States, you were saying that the people that came together was
When I use the term union, I used the term union because we was talking about right during the time of the Civil War. And you've heard that word used many times before. And the union simply designated the northern states or the states that was not a part of the Confederacy.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. South and North.
Right.
So, but my interpretation of the republic would be, like I said, the people governing and electing their own officials to govern themselves. So when you saying the republic is the states combined, I think it's some confusion coming in.
I think we're right. You're right. Let me put it to you this way.
Okay.
All the people in the state of Alabama, all
I got
the
that.
people in the state of Georgia, okay, all these people all over this country come together
To form a
in
republic.
state to form a republic.
But that wasn't invented with the makeup of the United States, though. That it was
I'm saying now because we're talking from a time span starting after 1776.
exactly after the paperwork hit the table.
So
Yeah.
nothing else that you may read is worth its salt.
Okay, this the part of the conversation I want.
1776.
Okay, we rolling in the right direction.
Right. Now, so after 1776, when the Constitution, when the representatives got together and voted on the Constitution and put the Constitution in place,
Okay.
and wrote those laws in that book right there, that was all came together. And
Which we're governed by right now.
in
Yeah.
1780. Nothing else applies. No treaties, no nothing.
I got you on that.
Like I said, we have treaties in place.
I'm coming to you.
You know, treaties in place, but they do not supersede the U.S. Constitution.
I agree with you about the time the Constitution came into place, and we're gonna get to Brother Ryan in a second because we need everybody in here. But I still say it ain't no way we can talk about what we talking about without going back before the formation of the United States. No way. But see, because if we do that, we're leaving out something very important. We're leaving out the fact that it was already a republic. A governed body of people here before that. So we're leaving out what happened to make it. So they didn't just come across here and they turned to the United States. It had to be a fight. It had to be something. It had to be a bomb drop. So that's why I said we can't leave it out, because out of that fight comes treaty, and out of those treaties comes everything after that. That's how we were. I think that's how we got to saying that everything. I mean, the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence and all this stuff come from that. Because if you're not subscribing to the fact of before the formation of the United States, it's hard to have this conversation, because we got to talk about what happened to even get to the point to where we had to say, and for the republic for which it stands. Because it ain't no way they can say, okay, they just came over here to a land of savages, took and started a government, and it was the United States from thenceforth. And if they telling us that, and we believe in that, and we don't want to decipher the history before that and how it all came out into that, how do we even get to the Constitution?
Well, I understand what you're saying, but I'm saying
I understand what we govern by now, though.
But
as citizens.
So because talking about anything before that, as it relates to today, is irrelevant. But we can talk about what came before. If we start talking about America started in 1482, a lot of people said 1492, but it was actually 1482, and we're not talking about the where we stand today. We're talking about the Americas.
Okay.
And we're mostly talking about the islands. We're talking about on the southern end of this thing here.
Well, yeah, that's where they started. They said they started moving in first, and breaking the natives of the islands and different things, and use those as buffers to come to the states. And I'm lined up with you on that, but I still say it ain't no way to we get through this thing without acknowledging what it was before United States, because that's kind of what last week was based upon, and we talked about some of the things that, like Brother Ocelot was saying, some of the things that obtaining your nationality back to that point. I understand you saying legally on paper that the Constitution and all that saying you can throw that out the window, we ain't honoring it. I understand, but that what happened in that time though, so that we don't even have the history of what happened before it was before this country or this corporation was formed to the United States. We gotta get the Ryan over there too.
And then the ad is on, so y'all can answer it all at one time. So would a person, I'm just trying to make sure we got this right. So a person who say, I'm gonna claim my nationality, and they basically just holding what we know as the United States to honor their agreement. But you saying it's null and void because it's so old. But ain't the Constitution about 246 years old? We still follow that, though.
Yeah.
Well,
that military gonna hold that one up though.
There you go. There it is right there.
Yes, sir.
That's what it is.
Like I said, we can talk about that, even though it's not relevant to what's going on today. And you know, I just think that we need to know about those things. We need to know about that pre-history.
That's our history, yeah.
Yeah,
So-
we need to know about that. We
Because-
need to know about the treaties and, you know, just take the Indian Treaty right quick. All right, we think that the Indian nation, the so-called indigenous people, we think that they are sovereign nations, right? But they're not.
Not to this land.
No, well, no, they're not to this country. Even though we call them sovereign nations, and they can go out and put up a casino and you know, and they can do traffic court and all this. But I tell you what makes them not a sovereign nation is the fact that they cannot maintain a military
They fired all in.
and they cannot print money.
Nobody can.
So the only people can do that is the U.S. government. And what the U.S. government says goes. So just like with that pipeline, you know, they talking about they didn't want the pipeline. What happened? They ran the
It
pipeline.
ran straight up through there. Yes, sir.
So what we think as being indigenous sovereignty.
At the end of the day, it's eminent domain. You come right through you.
Yeah, so it's not. And when you use the word privilege and rights, the only rights that you have is the rights that you are given.
Nobody have rights to give you. Nobody have rights to pull out their pocket and give you. You are born with them.
You had to fight for that because of the disposition somebody else had you
Like
in.
I said, you quote the Declaration of Independence again, but you say
No, I'm talking sound jurisprudence, well-established principles that was already here before the declaration of anything.
Call it what you want to, but I'm telling you what it is.
Okay.
I got citations.
All right.
All right. Well, Ryan had something you want to say. A question of the state.
Just bring a little clarity on a lot of the terms that we use. Word American, it's a noun. It is from the American Dictionary of English Language, Noah Webster, 1828.
1828.
So Noah Webster was assigned.
He was assigned.
Not make up, but to
Right.
to bring definition to words and terms that people use here in the Americas, right? That speak the English language.
Right.
So the word American, noun, a native of America originally applied to the Aboriginals, copper-colored races found here by the Europeans, but now applied to the descendants of Europeans born in America.
Later.
Give us the book it's coming from.
Again, that's the American Dictionary of English Language, 1828.
Well, the 13th Amendment tells you that if you're born here, you're a citizen. Now, you can come over here.
But that's right. You just said the key word.
If
You're
Born.
a citizen, which is under the government. That doesn't make you what? An American.
That don't make you an American.
Well,
Because you got Europeans coming there and say what? Well, I'm a descendant. I'm Irish American. I'm Polish American.
No such thing.
well, for the sake of the way this Constitution works.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now we say we're African Americans.
I don't say that. I don't say
We
that.
can't be two continents. Can't be two
I don't know where that's located. See, you got to connect the people with a land.
Okay.
It's no land called African American.
Okay.
But
I'm
you got
gonna tell
nationality,
again.
right?
Right now, we know there's a continent.
Called
Right.
what?
A continent.
Called what?
Right now it's called Africa, right?
And you are of African descent. You are not an African American. That is a
That's what I'm saying.
brand.
That's why you use the word African American.
No, that ain't why.
You use black because it denotes the land in which the Africans come from. It's called the oldest document on earth that's ever been found. It's the land of the blacks. That's why.
That's why.
So
I
you
love
can't.
this.
What I'm
I
saying
love
is, this is what I'm saying. Black is a English term that's only 500 years old. You cannot describe an ancient people that's been here thousands of years old using a modern word.
All right, describe your race.
Give me the etymology dictionary.
I'm melanated and of African descent, domiciling in Morocco territory.
I'm gonna read. Look up black. Look up
Sound
black.
like what I just said.
No, you said African American and blacks. You was using those brands.
I'd say
Don't none of that apply
African
in the
descent,
law.
Right? We're saying the continent,
Which is
Africa.
okay.
And you just said that.
I'm of African descent. I'm not an African American. You can't be from two places. They gonna have to cut you in
Okay, I
half.
got you. Okay. But then again, you said you have not denounced this country. You said you wasn't born in Morocco.
I just claim my nationality. So whatever contract that was alive before I claimed my nationality, null and void. Because that deals with a citizen. I'm not a citizen, I'm a national. I have diplomatic immunity to your jurisdiction of the United States.
All right, let's talk about that. Diplomatic immunity.
Got a question in the back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a question. Ms. Joelle.
It was about the whole black term. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I was told, or I saw, it was something I read or something I saw that said the terms black and white came from the Europeans who came over here and were establishing the government. They created those terms more so to signify class levels and not race. It really didn't even have anything to do with race. It was just a way to differentiate and create a hierarchy because it had something to do with even like different whites. Like you were separated according to what your what nationality was according to even your whiteness.
Your facial features, your hair texture, your eyes, your cranial size, and that was done. You was right. You right. It was done to place you in a caste system.
Well,
So
the thing is
created
that-
by Francois Brenner, Johann Friedrich Blumenbach, and Karl Linnaeus. They created this
Actually,
race.
It didn't have anything to do with color. It was just
A
about
branding system. If I can get you to call yourself something other than what you are, I can run the con.
Well, I put it like this. I feel a distinct familiarity with people from the continent.
Of what?
Africa, the land that is called Africa now.
Okay.
And I believe because there have been no other documentation or records or artifacts or anything else have been found on this earth older than right there. Now,
That's what civilization started. I'm gonna agree with you right there.
all right, so that's where I go back to. I don't go back 500 years. I don't go back 1,500 years. I go back to the very beginning. That's where I pledge my allegiance with these people before the other folks came. Now, I understand you said Morocco and Moors and so forth, but knowing understanding and knowing the history of how they came about, there was generally a lot of mixed people that came in. So I can understand why you may not want to identify with the cradle of mankind
Which is being black.
as the African.
I'm of African descent. Look at me. I'm agreeing with that.
Well, no, you're not agreeing with that. You said from Morocco. I said I'm from the cradle.
The land you standing in Morocco though. When you were born here, you were born in Morocco.
This is
And now, let me break down Morocco. Let me break down Morocco because that sound like that just.
Yeah, I
fun.
didn't say you gonna have to break that one down.
Let me break down Morocco.
We talking about the difference of philosophy. So we gotta be clear.
So before you break down Morocco, Mr. Tamadani Kapuka, have you claimed your nationalism? And if so, what is it?
I denounce my American citizenship because I was born here, all right? And I denounced it, which says that I have no rights to nothing here. The immigration can come walk through this door and deport me back to
Belgium.
Congo.
Oh, Congo?
The Democratic Republic of Congo. That's where I
You claim your
in the
nationalism.
cradle.
Now let me object.
Don't tell them that, Big B.
Now, when
Now, wait a minute. Let me just tell you this. If you think I'm lying, public record, probate is public records. Now, you can check me out at any time.
okay.
Call down there and they'll tell you. And they'll tell you exactly when it happened and the whole 9 yards. Now, because I don't have to just claim something.
Right.
I'm doing it.
Now, let me go back to what you said about you waiting on somebody to come in here and send you back to where you from. They will never send you nowhere because you already here. So you can cut up all you want. You ain't finna get shipped to nowhere because you already at home. That's why we ain't going nowhere and they keep building prison. They ain't got no bus lines going back to Africa. They ain't got, if we were from, listen, we got to get past what the European presented to us.
You wouldn't know until you denounce your citizenship.
All right, so let me
Like I said.
So let me ask you this. So you saying by you claim your nationality to the Congo, they could ship you back. But if he's claiming his nationality to what was already here prior to the United States of America, you can't send him nowhere.
Well, see, that makes no sense because, like I said, it says on the Constitution.
He said this ain't Morocco.
He was born here.
Yeah.
So you saying it's not Morocco?
We got to go back to the Morocco thing because he said this ain't Morocco. So we got to get an audience.
Okay.
We got to get an audience clarity on how this is Morocco, why it isn't Morocco,
Before the Atlantic,
who are them light-skinned people in Morocco right now, all that.
Well, like I said, let me see your citation because there go mine.
before the Atlantic, we know that before the Atlantic was an ocean. It was a lake. It was a lake. Before the Atlantic was an ocean, it was a lake that you can swim across. So we ain't from nowhere. The Atlantic was a lake that you can swim from this side to the other side.
What year are we talking about?
Before the tectonic plates did the big shift and separated the land,
Well, let me see
because
your
all of it was one before.
So-
You see what I'm saying?
so-
So we ain't from
So
nowhere.
Let me see
Pangea.
your citation.
He said when did that happen?
To refocus it, the question was, how is this Morocco, right?
Right.
You requested citation, right?
Citation.
Citation would be the Treaty of Peace and
The-
Friendship, right?
The president who you know as George Washington, which was the
Did you have
ninth
a copy?
president,
Yeah, did you have a copy?
I can send it to his phone.
I told we got to walk
I
through
can
it.
send it to his
We
phone.
ain't walked through that section, Article 21 yet. We got to walk through that.
What you got?
Treaty of Peace and Friendship.
Hey, Jab, go on, man.
No, Jab over there in the corner.
Them Jack Daniel going home. Let me get one with you. Oh, Jab done got up.
No, Jab.
Oh,
Ain't that,
no, Jab done got up.
Yeah, Jab gone. I thought that was Jab in the corner. Yeah, I thought that was Jab in the corner.
Well, yeah, man. I think we got to be clear about that before we keep moving through the conversation.
Right.
Cause the difference of philosophy gonna kill the whole
Got you right here. So
vibe on what we talking about
Can I
if we
take-
don't clarify.
Can I take Maxie?
It got to be clarified.
Yeah. I'm waiting on.
Okay, all right. Just to get a clarification on black, because we kind of jumping around. This from Noah Webster again, 1828. He's going to describe what black is. All right. Now this is the mission of a European. All right, that we have accepted and come to agreement that what he say words mean to narrate thoughts and stuff to get across to one
Okay,
another. Right.
I go with that.
Definition change. We know
All
that.
right, so black is an adjective, it's not a noun. Black, I'm gonna skip over some of the linear delineations of it. So it's Saxon, spelled B-L-A-C or B-L-A-C, but it says black, pale, wan, livid, to become black, to black in Wayne Living.
Hold on, did you say black pale?
Black pale.
Did you say black pale?
Black pale.
Did you say black pale?
Well, I thought we just had a discussion about, we were talking about the origins of a people, and I just told you that I identify with the crater.
No, not knocking that. But
Right.
just to say, okay, if we was everybody agreed, even science agreed that the so-called black man was the first man on earth, right? So if everybody had melanin, why would we call each other black? We wouldn't know nothing different. Until we saw some pale come into the scene, but like, oh, what's wrong with them? The Bible called it leprosy, right?
Well, what we have to do, and I don't even want to get into.
I'm just saying, but
that.
I'm just,
But
you know,
what I'm saying is that today we have to use some type of terminology.
that is right, but it has to be either connotative or denotative. So the denotative part, when people say black, that's a feeling. But like you said, we're subject to laws, right? So you got legal law, and guess what we also got too that we work with? We got grammatical law, with that being said. So black can never be a noun, person, place, or thing. It can only describe.
Can only be.
What do you call race?
It's a human race, a social construct.
Race wasn't an issue until Blumenbach. So that was created in the 1800s with Darwin. So if you subscribe to Darwinism, then yes, it does exist.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
Race
All
was
right.
created.
So if you want to use that, and you're
I don't
saying
subscribe
that
to it.
if you want to use that, all right. Well, what about homonyms?
What about who?
Homonyms.
Okay, refresh my memory on that.
Well, homonyms. You heard
Word
of
that sound alike.
Neanderthals?
Yeah, right. Homonyms.
Okay.
Right, gotcha.
So, what
Okay.
about them? What you call them?
Well,
Neanderthals.
I don't subscribe to that because
I ain't never
it's
heard
the
them
difference
called
between
that.
man and homonyms or Neanderthals.
Really?
But yes, it is.
Really?
Yes, it is.
So you believe in creation?
I do believe in creation.
Okay. Well, we.
Oh yeah, we.
But
Hey, part three.
But I don't believe in evolution. There's a difference. You see what I'm saying?
I'm gonna go with.
All right. Wait.
But going back to the Treaty of Peace of Friendship, it says here, it says at appointment such agency, with authority under the directions and instructions of the said ministers to commence and prosecute the said negotiations and conferences for the said treaty, provided that
Treaties.
the treaty should be signed by said ministers, whereas it listed John Adams, Thomas Jefferson,
Mm-hmm.
all here. So basically, I thought I had my phone on it. Okay, here it is. We give in pursuance thereof hath arranged articles for treaty of amity and commerce. Amity means friendship. Reason why they say friendship is because when this so-called nation was established, they didn't have a running navy, right?
Right.
So guess what? Britain was banging on George Washington.
Hard.
Right? So they had no supplies. They had none of that. Then they had to seek friendship with Morocco because they had corsairs or what they call pirates on the
Right.
seas. So not only that, these are two worlds going on at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So you got a buddy up who got strength.
Right.
You won't get crushed.
You gonna get smashed.
But my point being is, how do that play into today?
Because it
So
like-
has those treaties been dissolved?
No.
See, that's what I just said.
Uh-huh.
Every country that the U.S. trade with have that same treaty.
So-
If you think of line citation.
No,
but
Morocco is still on.
but what I'm saying is, I agree with you. All the countries got a treaty,
Right.
But my question would be for Brother Williams and you is, have they been dissolved?
some have, some have
No.
not.
So have the okay? What about the
You gotta
the
fight
treaty?
again, no?
So what about that one? Has that one been dissolved?
Well, when it comes to superseding the U.S. Constitution, it does not have a standard.
Oh.
That's the
Oh.
point.
Obama told you himself.
If you pick up the Constitution
Oh.
and open it up, you will see it.
Obama told you himself.
What page we need to turn to so we can make sure the people watching can clarify.
What you said with page? I'm not familiar with the Constitution, sir.
Obama told you himself. Obama told you himself, man. Claim your nationality.
Don't tell nobody. You know we live on there.
Man said claim your nationality if you don't do nothing else.
No, hold up, man. He just mentioned something. What
Obama said it. Obama when he took office, he went to Morocco and he gave a speech and he said that if it was not for Morocco, it was not be no United States. He gave that honor to Morocco for recognizing them. If Morocco don't recognize them, it don't be no them. He said it out his mouth. If it's a lie, he told it. But he got the treaties to bag him
He
up.
also went to Zimbabwe too, and said the same thing.
I'm talking about what he said about Morocco.
Well,
And why you see these flags in the White House, why you see the Moroccan flag in the White House, why it's sitting behind Hillary Clinton in the Benjamin Franklin room. This flag ain't just in there.
Flag?
No,
Kenya flag?
no, we talking the Moroccan flag.
All of the flags are there.
So why
All of them nationalities, though.
why would those flags be in the White House? That would be my question.
Why would the Moroccan
Because
flag
they have
sit on the
a
dominant
diplomat,
side?
A visitor to come in there.
Why would the Moroccan flag sit on the dominant side when presented with the United States? That's what I'm saying. It's being presented with the United States Star Spangled Banner, and the Moroccan flag is sitting on the dominant side.
Which side is the dominant side? Because I don't know.
The left side.
That'd be the left side.
That would be the left side.
Okay.
It's sitting on the dominant side.
That makes
So that make it subordinate to this. That make this banner subordinate to this flag of a country.
Well, it's not so.
If it don't be for Morocco, they
Subservient.
do not have government. Obama spilled it out of his mouth.
So let me ask you this. So
citation on that.
So let me ask you this. So you're saying that basically the reason why Morocco does not exist because they ain't willing to fight and back up what they saying?
Well, I'm not saying that Morocco do not exist because they do exist.
Yeah,
Well,
they
I'm
get credit
saying,
for
no,
being one of the top armies in the world right now. Over militaries in the world right now in Morocco.
The
Number 3 in
kingdom.
the world.
Well, I'm just saying they're one of the top military.
I'm saying compared to what?
Well, they in the top
Well,
3.
the U.S. acknowledges them as one of the
Compared
top.
to who?
Compared, I guess, the top armies.
That's what they said about Iraq too, right?
But
Yeah.
you,
You
but
see
you know
what
what that
happened
starts
already?
though, because just because you don't have a standing military, that doesn't mean that you're not a nation. That's equivalent to saying, okay, there's like that's bullying. That's present day bullying in the school.
Well,
You got United States 12th grader, Morocco coming in as a 9th grader and putting lumps on Morocco head just because he got some weight on him. That's it.
well, that's how they do it. But today, when you start talking about nations, how do they determine, who's a nation? Because we got what, Crips in the blood.
Okay, well, we could-
Down here, you got the 49th Street Barbers down here.
Ain't no doubt.
Y'all a nation?
Well,
A nation is determined by blood, consequence, and
It'll
penalty.
take a nation to hold it back.
I'm
right.
saying,
Jo-
That's
so
a
answer
reach.
the question now. What makes you a nation?
Okay, let's look it up.
We trying to figure out more about
Well,
how to be one.
Well, why you looking
The
that
thing
up?
is that you have to be acknowledged by
And-
who?
The government, I guess,
The said
from
government.
your standpoint, the
The
government.
said government.
Oh, I'm ready, sir.
The said government.
Joel, we're gonna get at your next, Joel. I'll just read
Okay,
that.
it says nation, a body of people inhabiting the same country or united under the same or sovereign or government as English nation, the French nation. It often happens that many nations are subject to one government, in which case the word nation usually denotes a body of people speaking the same language or body that has formerly been under the distinct government but has been conquered or incorporated with a larger nation. Thus, the Empire of Russia comprehends many nations, as did formerly the Roman and Persian empires. Nation, as it is etymologically in imports, originally denoted a family or race of men descended from common progenitor, like a tribe, but by immigration, conquest, intermixture of men, different families, and distinction in most countries are lost. So basically what it's saying initially, with the latter part of it, with the etymology, that you had to have like a tribe, different things like that. It said nothing about, a military, right? But later, when they said you can be conquered and still be considered a nation
Better
or
get yourself one.
incorporated,
You
right?
better get one.
But that's the legalese or what you would
But
call
the
it.
thing
But
is,
initially
all
it denotes from bloodline. Nations descend from bloodlines, not
Pedigree.
governments.
But all that is true, but what I'm saying is, how
Good
do
info.
you become a nation, you know? Because we're talking about the day, we're talking about the day. You have to be acknowledged. Everything you just said is true.
Mhm.
Russia, was a bunch of countries, you know?
Right.
Just as America was a bunch of different tribes and so forth.
Mhm.
But only Russia is acknowledged. They don't acknowledge Transylvania. They don't acknowledge the Ottoman Empire, or parts of it that was there. They don't acknowledge part of the let me get it right, the Ying were part of the Asian.
Cause it basically falls under a different name now.
Everything falls under Russia.
Yeah.
Russia is the only one that is acknowledged at the United Nations. Now, Morocco stands alone. It is true, they have their own flag. They have their own government.
So does Alabama.
You know, Morocco used to encompass parts of Tunisia, Tunis, and
Right.
Yep. Tunis, Tripoli, Algeria.
It's an empire. It's a vast
They
empire.
are separate, and they acknowledge separately. That's all I'm saying. is
Okay.
that- and that's how we have to deal with it, you know.
In
You know,
order,
like I said, we can be the 49 street barbers, but if we're not acknowledged, as
law
a
don't apply to
nation,
you. Law don't apply to you. If you're not acknowledged as a nation, law don't apply to you. Now, how you don't get acknowledged is when you wear the brand as being a Negro, black, a colored person, or African American. You just took yourself out of the Constitution foes of government. Law don't even apply to you. I gotta make some shit up.
Well,
I gotta hit you with a code. I gotta hit you with a code or a statute or a regulation.
it don't apply to me because, like I said, I denounce my citizenship.
Right.
You know, and like I said, they can come through the door at any time and deport me.
Let's go.
But you, it's different.
I'm here. They can't send me nowhere.
You ain't going nowhere.
I'm at home.
So I want to get some clarity out there. So basically, he's saying if he denounces his citizenship and identifies as a citizen of the Congo, do you, by saying that you don't claim to be a citizen of the U.S., are you a Moroccan citizen, and what makes you one?
Because I chose to keep my allegiance to my country and not pledge my allegiance to a Star Spangled Banner.
Is that something that you send in paperwork for? Is that something that
Yes,
you can obtain
it's
identification saying that you
Yes.
are a
Yes.
citizen of some?
It's acknowledgement.
Well, that's what we want to hear.
It's acknowledgement. Not only do I acknowledge it,
Can I call down to the State Department and say, also, Brother Williams there, have he
nationalized.
nationalized
Yeah.
Morocco?
Right.
All right, well, let's get Joel a question in. Ms. Regal?
So you're saying that before the United States was United States, it was Morocco? Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Okay, because I got confused there because I know that there's a Morocco in existence now, and I just looked it up.
The kingdom. You
It's
talking
in
about
North Africa.
You talking about the kingdom of Morocco. See, you can take a kingdom and sit a kingdom inside of an empire. See, I'm talking about the empire of Morocco, and you talking about a kingdom.
So it's almost like the Morocco that the present day Morocco is like a satellite
It's a
version of the whole.
right.
Of the whole
It's a vast empire.
Was it always there, and was it always called Morocco? The place that they call Morocco now, that she's speaking of.
Morocco,
It's in North Africa.
North Africa, the Maghreb. We in the Maghreb, the most extreme west, Northwest Africa. That's all Morocco means. The most extreme.
You know,
west.
names can jump from coast to coast. I mean, we see that with European names. Yeah, we see that. So which one came first, the Morocco there or the Morocco here? Or are you saying
That was in 1956 over there. So
Okay.
that lets you know.
Okay, all right, that's what I was trying to get to.
So the North African Morocco was established in 1956.
56, 55, one of them. That was the kingdom we talking about.
No, with 1776 and they've been revised a couple times, wasn't it?
1776?
Yeah, they've been revised a couple times, wasn't it?
What could have been going on in that 10-year gap that we spoke of earlier?
Tell me when they adjourned.
Exactly. And from what we said,
1861 to
1871.
That's when they came back.
Okay, if you said the de jure United States, which we claim to be the republic, basically.
Yeah.
Which we claim to be a republic before the United States we know of now was formed. So explain that 10-year gap. What was happening in that 10-year gap for it to come out the other end as somebody else then took over as a constitution, a whole nother government, and all this stuff.
That's what
we had 10 years a gray area though.
That 10 years of gray area was to put us under their jurisdiction. Because as long as it was a republic, everything was cool.
So was a war going on?
They defeated us in the beginning.
Oh, exactly. Before this time period started.
We ran spice trade 7-Eleven. The Moors had business over here running things, spice trade, silk trade. They had to pay us annual tributary just to pass by the waterways. If we don't, we'll trap their ass and get their boat, sell their ass and everything. These the Moors.
In 1861.
I said 7-Eleven. 7-Eleven. We've been running things since 7-Eleven. Okay. The Moors been running things over here. They defeated us. King Ferdinand and Queen Elizabeth married each other just to join. They forced to kick our ass.
Well, I thought we were trying to figure out that 10-year from 1861
61 to 71.
That was the plot to overthrow the de jure government that they just dissolved. Then they came back with this fake government. With the wordplay.
So who is in control now from 1861 through 71?
This fake government that we call the United States. It's not a republic. It's a democracy. And they don't even speak about democracy in the United States Constitution. Not even, the word ain't even in there, but we are democracy now. You see the wordplay?
Well, the reason why it's not in there because democracy is what the people here in the United States are striving to get to.
But because you subscribe to something, does it mean anything just because you subscribe to it? I guess I think that's what the part, because I hear what both of y'all saying, but it's almost like it's two different standpoints.
Well, here's
But
the thing. What makes
Different philosophy.
a democracy? One way you make it is through voting. Because one person, one vote. So
And that's a republic.
Through your vote, that produces quasi-democracy. That's one way right there, and that's primarily going back to when we established that we are a republic, and a republic is made up of all the people, and all the people vote for a representative, because all the people can't go into D.C. at one time. So you got you vote just like here. We got a mayor election coming up, Woofing. So everybody in the Birmingham area is gonna vote for Woofing, Bell, or whoever, right? And that person is gonna represent our interests, supposed to, right? All right, we're gonna do the same thing on the city level, the state level, even when we vote for dog catching. We're doing this. And that vote is your quasi-democracy.
Now,
that is what we subscribe to.
Now, let's go.
Trying to get there.
Let's
That's
go to
why
vote.
it's not listed there.
So that word quasi, that's a big word.
Yeah,
Quasi.
but we have the Declaration of Independence, and that's been quoted several times here.
If you want to call it that, the Declaration had to come from somewhere.
We're not really a democracy.
We're not.
Because we don't actually, the people don't really have control. I think that's one of the biggest stunts that's been pulled on us from the very beginning.
But how do the people lose control? Because we have the right to vote.
You
So
lose control.
Where do we lose that at?
Because
Ignorance.
the people we're voting for are all in cahoots, whether you're a Democrat, Republican.
Right.
It doesn't matter. They're all working together
Right.
for the same interests. And so to say that we're voting and we're voting according to who's going to represent whatever interests we have, it's just the wool being pulled over our eyes.
Thank you.
It's really all a part of the same game.
That's why it's called Kwanzaa.
So let me share what an act of denationalization is. This is what an act of denationalization looks like. Millions of Moors that's branded or classified as being Negro, Black, or colored folk, they voted in a presidential election, which is a foreign jurisdiction. They committed a crime. So, if you voted in the United States election, which is foreign to you, you committed a crime.
So that's why Trump was saying.
That's why Trump told you, he said, if you vote for me or anybody in office, you committed a crime against your own Republican form of government. Now go try to figure that out with y'all smart asses. That's what he said. Because he know we don't know this. They didn't teach us civics.
Well, let me tell you a little bit about Trump. First off, Trump is what's called a genocidal, racist, white supremacist.
He ain't by himself. Name somebody else.
So, you
Lot of
take the
them.
word of a genocidal white supremacist.
Hey,
A
broke
drunk
right
man,
2 times a day.
a drunk man tell you the truth.
Broke
All you gotta do
right
is,
2
see,
times a day.
if you piss Trump off and get in his ego, he'll tell you the truth because he just that cocky.
Because he tell you the truth, you would vote for.
I don't vote in it. See, there it is. I don't have a horse.
Domination.
I don't have a horse or dog in that race, so why would I vote in I didn't vote in the Japanese election because I'm no more party to the Japanese election than I am the United States election.
Well, you just said you was a U.S. citizen.
I didn't say that damn time in here.
You said you was born.
Rewind it. No.
Well, he's saying by saying that you were born here, that was you is.
No, that ain't
Until you
no,
can prove
no,
you something
no,
else.
No, no. Because you can't, because you was born here does not make you a citizen of a corporation. That's what I'm trying to get you to see. Because I was born in this land doesn't make me a citizen of a corporation.
The 13th Amendment. Please read the 13th Amendment for me.
Church over here.
Let's get it down to the nitty gritty. Barbershop Stories, episode 64.
Coming
Hey,
up.
we having a great conversation. Little bit debate. Everything's debatable.
That right.
Everything on the table to be debated.
Chapter 13 is talking about either slavery or involuntary servitude.
14th Amendment. Could it be the 14th? Legal?
Yeah,
13th Amendment.
it's the 14th. Yeah.
Read it.
All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction of our citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside.
Okay, so the 13th abolished all that stuff that came before. And the 14th made you a citizen and gave you the right to whatever
Nope.
the perks may be in this.
No one have rights to give you.
But you have to distinguish though between the citizen and a person.
And you missed the word, naturalized. See, you got to understand that what naturalized
Well, if
means.
it says you're born here,
Mm-hmm.
then you're a citizen,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
You
Right, I
cannot
agree with that.
you cannot be a
I
citizen.
agree with you, but it says all persons though, right?
And you got to understand the definition of persons. Persons can be a corporation. They can, if you pull out some identification right now that you got from the European, you gonna see your name in all capital letters.
What they got to do with it?
Because the grammar allows no provisions for someone to address you with all capital letters in your name.
Corporation.
That's a corporation.
Where you get that from?
Law.
Where you get that from? What's
Well,
Law.
Well,
That would be grammar.
well, one thing about it,
On that?
I'm
one
finna
thing about it,
shoot you the law.
it'll fall up on the grammar, but let's pull it up. You know, because
It's
we
law.
hear one thing about it. We hear so we can exchange knowledge because I'm sure he don't know it all, you don't, and don't nobody don't. But
No.
That's why we here.
That's why we here.
collectively
I
together.
said let's wear
Yeah.
the citation.
All right, so
I'm working.
yeah, he working on it. He working on it. Barbershop Stories, the podcast,
We got
episode
these telephone books
64.
down too now.
This is a great
Got the real
conversation.
computer done.
Great conversation. And we got Brother Ryan
Real
over here,
computer.
man. He's the fastest page turner in history. Yeah, I give it to him. Now, he'll stumble over a word or two, but he can turn them pages.
Now, if you truly want to talk about linguistics, then you got to go to the right book, right? You got to have the right citation.
Okay.
You know,
Is it one right book or is it multiple books?
I got it. I already got it. I'm ready.
So you got it? So who want to read it first?
What is that?
Let's get the two sources. We want
Yeah,
to
yeah,
we
we
want
want
to hear the
to
two
hear
sources and both.
see, when you start
Descriptions
talking
out of
about
both.
grammar, then you got to know how grammar
Oh,
was
well,
developed,
wait a minute.
how it come from.
All right.
All right, so you want the Black's Law Dictionary definition of person or the etymology? Does it matter?
Use both. Let's get both for clarification. And then we're going to get the, what is that? The anthropological linguistics. Ooh, I thought I was going to mess that one up, though.
Development of language, period.
The development. So
This thing getting deep, people.
Persons.
Let's keep it going. Hey,
Oh, yeah.
ain't no shame to talking about our history, whether they want us to be shamed about it or not talk about it or not discuss it, whether it sound funny to somebody out there or somebody in here, whether you've been taught, whatever you've been taught, we gonna go through it. If you got a point to make or a point to bring to the room, bring it. Cause hey, we ain't shying away nothing at the door. Just bring your facts with you, like this beat, like brother Kapuki said, and hey, let's walk through it. Cause we talking about history that's supposed to be ours. So no shame in that. We gonna keep it rolling. Tune in and let's keep going.
All
Alright, Black's Law Dictionary, first edition. Person, a man considered according to the rank he holds in society, with all the right to which the place he holds entitles him, and the duties which it imposes. People versus R Code 134. That's just a legal case where it is referenced to. Alright, so it says here he has a whole rank in society, right? Can we agree on that?
Status.
Status.
Well,
Right.
I thought we was talking about the difference between, is a person,
He finna get down. It's some more to that definition.
Right. That's what I'm saying. We gotta read that and say he has holds a place in society, right?
That's what a person.
So in the section of the Constitution, right? What was the status of so-called black people in society?
okay, go ahead.
Property.
Go ahead with your next one.
Okay. All right. And so the etymology, the mother of the word, but you are what you what mother is, right?
That's right. Can't be nothing else.
All right. So it says character, part played, human being, living body of a human being, individual personality. All right. This derived from the 9th century theological distinction of being in the Godhead. All right. There's bring a little clarity to it, or what?
Hey,
I want to
Come
read
on
this
with it.
term right here, where it say, on the other hand, a name spelled in all caps, such as John Joseph Smith, is indicative of a artificial person. And an artificial persons created and devised by human laws for the purposes of society and government, as distinguished from natural persons. Corporations are examples of artificial persons. Black Law Dictionary, 6th edition.
Right.
So a person can be a corporation. If your name is in all capital letters, that right there has incorporated you as a artificial person, because grammar allows no provisions for you or nobody else to put all capital letters in a pronoun.
Well, I have to respectfully disagree with you.
You disagreeing with grammar.
And
You ain't
the reason
disagreeing with
why
me.
Is that, when you're talking about a corporation, in this country, and like you said, a corporation is a artificial person. And that occurs because of law. The law has been set in Washington, D.C., have set that to be the case.
Codes did that, not law. Code, statutes, and ordinances did that.
Go to the IRS website and pull that up.
What is the IRS? Let's get off into that. What is the IRS? Talking about the folks that you voluntarily pay taxes to. That what you talking about? The IRS? where you voluntarily pay taxes to?
That's the one I'm
That's
talking
another hill we gotta walk
Okay,
down.
then.
That's what I'm talking about now.
Well,
Now, are you employed or are you self-employed?
I self-employed.
You're self-employed. And you pay no taxes?
No.
You better stop saying that on the air.
I pay no taxes. You know why? Because I'm involved. This is why I don't pay taxes. Because I'm involved in fair trade. I'm not involved in a commercial activity.
Okay, what's fair trade?
That means if I do something for you and you give me something in exchange, that's fair. Ain't a third party ain't
That's
got.
called barter, and that's taxable.
But no, trade is not taxable. Commercial activity is taxable.
Trade.
Trade
barter,
ain't taxable.
is taxable. I'm
Prove
telling
it.
you.
Prove it. Introduce
You
it
know,
into law.
I've been in business.
All right. Well, I'm gonna hit you with a couple. I'm gonna hit you with a couple of these. Bing, just passed it.
So let me ask you this though, just for the people to hear. Because you've been doing some 20, 30, 40, 50 years said, could that mean it could have been wrong? Or we could have been taught wrong? Because we are, and the reason why I say that is because a lot of education that we've been taught over the years, we know been false at this point. And of course, the time that we learned it after all the years, could it possibly be that there just hadn't been a road that we crossed yet?
No, the tax code hadn't changed in that amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been
Okay.
like this since I went into business in 88.
Okay. Check me out right here.
It's the same.
Okay.
You know, and every year I look at it.
If no information or return is filed, the IRS, Internal Revenue Service, cannot assess you. Gary Makovsky, Special IRS Agent, testifying under oath, U.S. versus Lord. Our tax system is based upon voluntary assessment and payment, not upon discretion. United States Supreme Court in Flora versus United States. Our tax system is based on individual self-assessment and voluntary compliance. Mortimer Kaplan, Internal Revenue Audit Manual,
Okay,
1975.
That's true. That's absolutely true. I agree with you 100%. If you're self-employed, no, you don't have to be.
No, it ain't just for the ones that's self-employed. It's for the ones that work our everyday job. They work the everyday 9-to-5 job. They are not involved in commercial activity. They involved in fair trade, so they shouldn't be getting taxed. They getting taxed through their ignorance.
Okay. Anybody that works, anybody here work a job?
I work a job, but I'm an independent contractor.
Okay.
I'm a 1099.
You're 1099. All right. So.
You had to feel
We
that.
gotta go to wages and income.
Yeah. Wages and- let me get
But anybody that works a job,
that. Uh-huh.
their employer
Put the tax on
Send it
them
in.
go tax, they gonna cut your tax. And
because of your ignorance.
because that's the law.
That ain't the law.
They
Yo,
gonna cut
that ain't
tax
the law.
from your
That ain't the law.
salary. Now you can say, well, I don't want to be cut, but guess what? You won't have no job the next.
I just read the law.
You just read the law is right, but what
It's
it says
voluntary.
Is that if you don't fail to report, then no, they don't know until they walk up on you.
All right, so let me ask you this. If he said he read the law, right? Because we all said, forget what we personally believe, we're going to try to go by facts. So if he read that as law, if the person from a job or self-employed don't make them enforce the law, you're right, you would be subject to it. But what if it's challenged, though?
If you
I guess
challenge,
that's the
you got to
question I wanna
challenge
know.
it. See, we don't challenge
Is
it.
it subject to be challenged? You know,
We don't-
just for the
It's
views.
subject to be challenged, but will you win?
Yes.
No.
You got the law on your side.
So you saying he gonna get hit with tax evasion?
That's what it is.
So
Tax evasion.
why will you not be hit with tax evasion?
Because I don't fall under those penalties to get taxed. I'm
Right.
not involved in that activity. I'm involved in trade.
So is that based on the claiming your nationality, or is that for even people who fall up under prior to claiming their nationality?
They can fall up under you prior to claiming your nationality. Only thing you don't have to do is show them your ignorance by filling out forms you don't have to fill out. You don't have to fill that 1099 form out. Then you say you're an independent contractor? That you got to fill that out. Me just working now, I'm involved in a trade. I need a 1041 form.
Okay, let me
You
tell
gave me the wrong form.
Let me tell you
I
something.
need
about
1041.
1099. Let me tell you something about 1099. All right. Say for instance, I gave you that 1099. You know why I gave you that 1099? Because I'm reporting that income to the IRS because I don't want to do this.
You sending in your hand, your
And
side
you
of
keeping that tax
saying
off,
he did
you
this.
keeping that tax off of you and putting it on her when she fill that 1099 form out. The tax
So
supposed
you saying
the tax supposed to
She
fall.
received the money.
Hold up. What I'm saying is, if she worked for you, right?
She worked for herself.
Okay, she worked for herself, but she doing business with you.
Right.
You making a capital gain. You got to pay a tax. You just dumped the tax on her.
so you saying okay? Let's get clear.
He just dumped the
I got
tax
you.
on you.
So the employer basically should be paying 100% of their taxes.
The tax fall on the employer.
Okay, I'm gonna
Not
say
the
this now. I'm
employee.
gonna say this to be fact, being pretty much I filed Schedule C. I pay 100% of my taxes versus somebody saying Sam is employed by me. I'm sending in this what he made. I'm paying half of it. He got to pay the other half.
If you the employer, the taxes are.
I know you saying the employee should pay him, but I'm saying that's what they doing. They saying
I know, 'cause
this
they-
what Sam made. I'm paying half of these taxes
They gonna
on what
dump-
we on
they
this
gonna-
business.
they gonna dump it on
He
the-
got to pay the other half. That's what they doing. But you saying the employer should be paying all them taxes, just like somebody independent contractor such as myself or
Because the
you
worker,
or her.
because the worker is just involved in fair trade.
So
The tax is on the employee. I mean the employer, not the employee.
what's the origin of the gang? What that started at then? If at one
Because-
time it wasn't like that.
We were never taught how to produce. Come on, they don't even teach us how to present ourselves in court. You think they?
I
teach
agree.
us? All right.
If it's already like that when you come into the world, but what's the origin of it though? So did we start doing this when the United States formed, or what
That's the origin of it.
paying
Because
taxes into that system?
They raping up, they molesting the people.
I got you.
The people that they conquered, they still ain't took their foot up off their neck. So it ain't over with. We thinking just because the chain gone is over.
Okay.
It ain't over
Yeah.
because the chain gone. Because we still got these contracts we engaging in and we don't even know the schematics of it.
All right, so let me ask you this. So basically, I guess summing it up, you know what I'm saying? Because we are running out of time.
Oh,
it
man.
ain't really a time limit, but at the same time, I got to be up at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, you do. You do.
But I am gonna say this though. So, are you saying that basically a lot of the stuff that we are scrutiny to is because we subscribe to it and don't challenge it?
Through our ignorance
that's
of
the way to
how
look
they
at it.
presented it to us. They presented this to us as being, it's a Trojan horse.
Yeah.
They just used it to get in our living room and kill us.
If something becomes popular enough, then it becomes fact.
What allows them to be able to say, okay, is it just bad? Is it just the people not challenging that allows them to do it?
When you control the meaning of words, you can control the people who must use the words. So if I got you thinking that you got to pay a tax and you ain't challenged this or investigated, you just paying tax because mama paid taxes, you crazy hell, you will.
Okay, so let's define this with the wages under how we was talking about on last week's show.
Okay.
With wages and income, because we were saying that people who make wages are not supposed to be taxed. You were saying that's not income, so it's not supposed to be taxed.
Wages are not tax. Matter of fact, I'm gonna find it right here.
So it basically boiled down to wordplay.
Wordplay,
And so-
etymology,
So if it boiled down to wordplay,
etymology.
is it safe to say that we getting slaughtered because we don't challenge the wordplay that's in front of us?
Exactly.
You got to know it to challenge it.
Can I read what income is? Can I read what income? Income. I have no capital gains investment. For one, I am not a corporation. I am a natural person, and I haven't been operating in a corporate capacity. Therefore, I don't have any returns off of investment. Actually, I am working out of my pecuniary wages, in which pecuniary wages are not taxable salary wages. But they get you to lie and say that you have income, meaning you have stock on the stock market, and that you are getting back an income. You are getting back a gain from a capital investment. So if I take 50,000 and invest it, and I make 100, 50 of that 100,000 is taxable because that's income. That's income and only. That is income and only. Wages are not income.
I'm gonna say this, and can we move on? I want to get one more point in.
Okay.
If you make a report less than $400 in a year, you're right. You don't have to report. You don't have to report. They let you keep that.
You say less than 400
Who you reporting to?
400 or less.
Who you reporting to?
a year.
A year.
Yeah. I didn't say they can keep that on.
But who?
Maybe you better not be unspent over folks.
See, and that's another thing. You said I report. Who are you reporting to? See, we give people authority over us that don't have authority. We just automatically give them authority over us, and they don't have it. And we don't challenge their authority. We just go along to get along. Like when we go up in these municipal courts talking about, well, I wasn't going that fast. No, you talking the wrong. Where did he get the authority to hit his case? That's what we need to be talking about. Where did you get your delegation of authority order from? And what does that delegation of authority consist of? See, we don't know to do that.
And that's why this isn't a true democracy, because of what you're talking about. Because in a true democracy, the people do have the authority.
In a republic.
In a republic.
In a republic.
That's why
Yeah.
we established that definition earlier.
Yeah, in a republic.
But I thought democracy is where the people are the ones.
That the quasi shit.
Quasi court.
Yeah.
It resembles a republic,
Exactly.
but it's not a republic. It's not. It just resembles.
It's not a democracy. It's a republic, but not a
No,
democracy.
the republic was dissolved.
Hey, let me get this in.
Come on.
During the last segment, you talked about deeds and having the right to inherit or pass on property.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Gotta touch that.
That's a good one. Huh?
Allodial titles and all that.
Feudal titles.
What I want to do is present you with this. This book right here is
We broke out a phone book.
state cases and
So,
deeds and wills, inheritance paper. That you can indeed inherit property, pass on property, and it is your property as long as you're making a payment. If you send it in your tax money, it's yours.
That's yours.
And it could be yours for 10 years, 10,000 years, as long as
long as that money collected.
But that's kind of funny with the play on words. He says as long as it's yours, as long as you keep paying taxes. So if I get finished paying Bank of America, whoever I got my mortgage with, right? But they say, okay, well, if I stop paying for a year or whatever, say God forbid something happened, I can't pay it.
foreclosure.
No, it's paid. The house paid for.
Oh, the house paid for it?
I'm not paying property tax, so I got to continue
Right.
to pay that property tax.
No, you don't.
Even though, no, I'm just saying, even though, because the wordplay is the property will continue to be yours as long as you pay taxes.
Right.
And
So
here's
you
the thing
never
on
own.
that is that, here's the thing on that is that, remember, because, some of us believe that we are in a country of laws. And to have a country, you got to have a standing military. And what do a standing military do? Protects your property rights. Now, if there wasn't a United States of government that has a constitution that was enacted in 1786, ratified in 1781 or 7, then Morocco or any other country can come in here and take your house, take my house, or whatever we may have. See, it's not really that. It's really not that hard to understand the way the system works, but the system is corrupt, like Sister said.
That's right.
It's corrupt, and they try to lead us to believe things that not really happening.
Right.
But we can believe what their Constitution said, because one thing we know for certain that they stick to it. That's why we see with this past election here with Trump, that you had one half, some 70-some million people voting for a white supremacist, believe in white domination, and who would put you back in a state of enslavement. You know.
The Democrat gonna do that for you.
So they do it. They do it, but they just do it in a whole different way, a more subtle way. So, but you know, we have to be mindful of the way this whole country is constructed. And going back to what we're saying about the property, and the reason why you pay taxes is because you're afforded certain things, and primarily what the military. You know, that the military will come and protect you. You know, they won't let somebody come in from Europe or wherever and take your land away or anything away from you. That's why we pay for the military. That's part of what the tax.
So they're supposed
You
to
do
defend
that yourself.
They're supposed to defend for foreign and domestic.
Pay for your money, print your money too. But like I said, it's not really complicated, and I think that we all, and that was one of the things I was doing. I was teaching government, U.S. government, before this whole situation hit, and I wanted my kids to understand exactly the way the system works. You know, all together, and it's very important that we understand the way it works, so we don't, you know, like my man was talking about the fake news and misinformation. Well, you know, we got the white folks. They've been doing it for centuries, millennia.
Right.
So we have to know how to be able to read it when we see it and when we hear. And most of all, when it comes to this country, we got to know exactly what the Constitution said. Not only the U.S. Constitution, but we got to know what it says in the state of Alabama. You know, what the state of Alabama Constitution says. You know, this is probably one of the most corrupt documents I've ever read. And it still got stuff.
That's exactly why you don't want to
Thank you.
But let me ask you.
Thank you.
But let me ask you this though.
Thank you.
But
Thank
let me
you.
ask you this though. Let me ask you this though. So
Case in point.
So with you saying that, could a person really read it without a dictionary or etymology and all type references to actually see what it was really saying? Because we do know this for a fact, and I'm assuming most of us know this in this room, that when they wrote it, they wanted to be what, like Claude Anderson always say, broad and ambiguous terms. Meaning that, I'm going to say it this, you may think it's that, but it means something else because you just said yourself that it's corrupt.
Right.
So what will make us think that reading that Constitution would actually help us without understanding that they lied on that too?
Well, and this is how, because see, they intended it to be just a white man's forever. But because in the eyes of the world, and I'm gonna say in the United States, black people or other people of color has an opportunity to come to power. And this country is set up where there's only two avenues to power, and one of them is to vote. What's the other one? To rebel.
So knowledge. So they were lying on Channel 10 about knowledge is power.
Knowledge is power.
Yeah,
but like I said, you got to know real knowledge. So, but back to
real
the
knowledge
Constitution is that how can we gain power through the Constitution, which they set up to last for white folks forever? Is you know, of course, they didn't look down the road to 2040, 2050 when white people will become the minority, numerical minority.
They're already the minority.
So that means that, you know, we're gonna have black people or somebody else, maybe the Mexicans, they gonna have the rings of power in this country. So and that's the big fight. So
let me ask you this though. So could they already be the minority? Because you know a lot of Dominicans, a lot of Puerto Ricans,
they are the minority.
They come in and they classify themselves as white. And even going back to when they established the census, it recorded people and how they wanted to record them to reflect how they felt and what they wanted to do. So couldn't that be it too? That wordplay again.
And here's the thing: back in the 1890s, with the integration policies and laws, if you was coming from, because we're talking about Spain and Italy, you know, those southern countries right there next to Africa, you know, where they had a lot of mixed populations there, you You know, we know Dagos are definitely, has a high percentage of African ancestry. So what they did in the 1890s, they said, hey, if you wanna come to America, you're gonna have to check which box. A lot of them
That's the
didn't wanna do
setup.
that,
That's
but
the
they wanted
setup.
to come to America.
That's the
So
setup.
they did. That's basically what we rolling back to the beginning of the
That's
conversation.
the setup, and they
That's
put
what
him
they
in a
still
brand
doing.
system, in a CAD. By you checking that box, they put you in a brand system or a CAD system that were made by Carl Linnaeus, Johann Friedrich Blumenbach, and Francois Bernier.
Right, absolutely.
They had
to
do something for the
distinguish
people that was
race.
already here.
Now, I want to jump back to what he was saying about tax. What you saying about paying your taxes? As long as you pay your taxes, you can keep it. You don't even, when you're a national, you don't even have to pay taxes on your house because you have an allodial title. You don't have to, when you're a national, man, that's the shit.
We got the
Can you
money.
prove that?
I can prove it.
Can you prove it?
I can prove it.
We gotta
you
prove
prove?
all
I can-
things.
when you are a national, you are tax exempt from the United States corporation because they got a treaty to do business in your land. You don't fall up under their kick charge.
Okay, let me address that. Now, first off, are you talking about diplomats?
That's what I just said. I was. I'm not. I'm immune to their jurisdiction. So a diplomat don't fall under their jurisdiction. You don't. So that means you will have an allodial title that you don't have to pay taxes on. You will have an allodial opposed to a feudal title that you would have to continue to pay taxes and they can tax your ass right on up out of it. I don't care what grandma left you. You ain't paid the taxes on it, give him.
All right, now, a diplomat, if we're talking about a diplomat in the terms of the sense that somebody that comes over and they represent another country, say Morocco. If you're a diplomat that's coming over and you're representing Morocco, now, the way the U.S. laws are set up, that only the top diplomats, only the top people, the top representatives, the ambassador, some of his family members, and maybe 3 or 4 of the top echelon are for what you're talking about.
That ain't all.
Everybody else have to pay according to the laws of this country.
So the land you
And pay
coming to
taxes,
alien to.
everything, you know. So there's no get anything free card here.
So what I'm
So you
saying,
said coming over, right?
Right, yeah, if any of them, like I said, only the top diplomats get away with not paying tax.
I got you.
I mean,
Incorrect.
The ambassador,
incorrect.
his family, you know, you mentioned something about tickets and stuff. Yeah, they can get out of paying tickets. But if they commit a crime that would be beyond just a misdemeanor, then they could be expelled from the country, or either they could face criminal prosecution here. Right?
Not if they got a treaty with, not if the United States got a treaty with.
And also, let me mention this to you also. It falls on the judge. The judge will make that decision. You know, so if Morocco ambassador came here, one of the family members came here, and well, I'm gonna say a family member committed a crime, and judge, whoever downtown said, well, we're gonna prosecute you, but we don't care what Morocco said.
They don't have
Now-
jurisdiction.
Now, what the U.S. government would step in and say, hey, look, this guy came over here and committed this crime, and it was pretty bad, and look at him. All right, can we prosecute him? Morocco may say yeah. If Morocco said yes, then they go expel him out of the country.
They got to go by
Now
treaty.
back here, so there's no more ambassadors.
They got to go by treaty. Let me get my man in the bay. He wanted to ask a question.
No, you lighten up.
Oh, okay.
But it does say that the law of the country shall take place, and equal justice shall be rendered. The counsel assisting at the trial. So, help me if I'm wrong. When it says the law of the country shall take place, right?
Right.
So by the judge, right? So in a sense, it's saying if someone or more kills a U.S. citizen or vice versa, right?
Right.
The law shall take place, right? So if both parties are, they're in the courtroom,
Right.
the judge and whatever defense, there is in the courtroom should be abreast of state law,
Proce-
federal law, and any treaties prior to that, right?
Right.
So in regards to a more, they would have to have constitutional and treaty knowledge
Right.
in regards to this situation.
Well, the thing
Right.
about it is that in the State Department, if something like that happens, then you go automatically, you go have people in the State Department that's gonna step forward. But like I said, it's the judge who's gonna be able to come in and say, hey, look, here, I think we need to prosecute this. Not saying that it's gonna happen, but, it's gonna fall on the judge. Now, of course, the State Department can step in and say, nah, we just gonna send it back. They can do that. That's within the laws of this country. They can send him back.
But they would have to defer that because that would be out of the state jurisdiction and wouldn't deal with a more.
State
right?
can't make that call.
That's anybody.
That's out of their jurisdiction.
That's anybody. Like I said, the U.S. Constitution supersedes, any treaties, anything.
So what are we first, state citizens or federal citizens?
You are citizens of the United States of America, so you go
So it'll be federal.
an Alabama state citizen, but you're still a U.S. citizen too.
No, but I'm saying which comes first though? Are we state citizens of Alabama first or the federal?
That's a good question now. I would assume that whatever state you're born in, that's where your initial rights will reside.
States' rights.
States' rights.
Mm.
Okay, so that's not to
Supersede
say
by
that
federal.
you're not a U.S. citizen, because you can travel freely between 50 states plus the territory. Now, if that wasn't the case, then you wouldn't be able to travel back and forth. You could run into Georgia. If Georgia had say, hey, look, only people from Tennessee can come. But because you're a U.S. citizen, you can travel freely throughout the United States.
Which is
And
distinguished from the states, right? The
Right.
United States of America, which is distinguished from the states. Because the United States of America is a 6x6 radius, what we call Washington D.C.
10 blocks.
It's a territory, not a state.
It's a
The thing is that the
congressional record say that now.
federal government received it, once again, the federal government received their power from the people,
Correct.
which is a conglomerate of 50 states.
But that's not what I'm saying. What I'm identifying is what is actually the United States. Is the United States a conglomeration of the 50 states? In one sense, that's one reality. But then on another, there's another United States, which is we call in the Washington D.C. area, right?
10.
One. 50 states.
That ain't what they
That's the
say.
federal
plus
government, United States.
the District of Columbia.
Right. But still the United States, but which is different from the conglomerate, right? Because that's the federal part, and we're the actual statehood.
No, the only separation is that those other 50 entities are called states, and the district is called the District of Columbia.
Which is all foreign
All the
to me.
United States of America.
Which
And
all of that
when
is
you
foreign.
see, there's no separation. There's no separation there at all.
Okay.
Okay. Well, any more questions or comments? Because we're going to pin it right there. We're
Pin
going to
it.
do a part 3.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you, I'll be the first one to say, I'm going to clap it up. Because one thing about it, you know what I'm saying, I've been blessed to be able to sit in the barbershop for 20 plus years, been blessed being able to be in radio, live, local and lit radio, B94.9, WATV, and to be able to discuss this stuff. And a lot of times when we hear brothers talk, it always turns into an argument. But here tonight, you know what I'm saying, of course, we got mature men in this room.
Right.
So we was able to talk about stuff. Even if we didn't totally agree, it's something to put on each other's mind. Thanks, Ryan, for coming out. Thanks, Brother Ocelot, for coming out. Of course, thanks, Sam. Thank K1. My cousin Mike, I ain't seen him since he was about 100 pounds and 4'11".
Big guy over there, man.
Time I done it, Kapuka, man. That's my father. He came on out.
right.
Corey.
Appreciate the word.
We got King, you know what I'm saying? We got Sonny, and we also got Chicken Tony and Joelle. She just left. And it's a pleasure for
Jab.
people to come down. Yeah, and Jab Jones, he left. He had lamb chops. I think he had it wrong. So.
Jab had a piece of it.
Man,
he
he
bring it?
had an Olive Garden bag full of stuff.
Here it is.
But, but it's very appreciative that we can actually come together and sit down and even have these type of conversations. Because even if we don't totally agree, it definitely puts some on our mind to be able to take back with us and even just seek further in. You know what I'm saying? Because we don't all know it all, but I'm sure we got enough brain capacity to be able to just take in just a little bit more. So with that being said, part 3 will come, but not next week. We got the funeral home man in next week.
Okay.
We got Dante Jokes in next week. And like I said, I'm comedic narrator, Haircut Slanger, Benny Mac. And before we leave and announce everybody else, we got a few of these commercials.
That right?
Hey, February the 11th, that's next Thursday, we got me, myself, at the Comedy Club Start On, and the show is called Before All That Sheet. S-H-A-T. S-H-E-E-T. Before All That Love Sheet. So, hey, y'all make sure y'all check that out. You can go to starton.com or you can give me a call, 205-585-7273. Chicken Tony, do I hear too? I hear any more tickets, any more tickets? All right, Chicken Tony too. Okay, we got y'all King over there. Do I hear too? Do I hear any more? All right, well, right now that's 4. But, yeah. Make sure you come check me out. I got D. Anthony Turner from Montgomery, Alabama. Got J.R. Brown from Montgomery, Alabama. And I got my homie Big E all the way from Centerpoint. And then, of course, you got myself, comedic narrator, Haircut Slanger, Benny Mac. And we're going to rock it just like we did last time. It's never a dull moment when you're fooling with us. I bring the funny for a little money. It's always something to laugh at. Make sure you tune in to V94.9. WATV. I'm on there from 6 to 10 with the Eyelash Diva and Homie J.
Homie.
You know what I'm saying? So we do our thing on there, live, local, lit, radio. Then, of course, we are true barbers up in here, too. We ain't just barbershop stores. We want to slang no haircuts.
Yeah.
We open 7 days a week. Appointments are available. But, of course, you can walk in. We'll do you right. Keep it tight. We always right. Hey, 5 haircuts ain't fast. And, of course, this brother William, we appreciate your time. Sammy No-No's, anything you want to leave him with, bro?
Hey, I enjoyed the night. I hope everybody else enjoyed it. And let's just keep on chopping at it, man. And hey, at some point, I think if we all get something just feel like we all are part of, I think that's good enough for the kid, man. You know what I'm saying?
Unity,
that's what
baby.
it's all about to me. Just getting on some type of common ground, even though we coming through the door with differences, you know what I'm saying? Let's get on some type of common ground, even with those differences still being present, man. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's what's happening. With that being said, hey, we out, and we'll see y'all next week.
Appreciate the
episode
brothers. Appreciate the
65.
brothers.
We got Dante Jelks. We're going to talk about them funeral services and them funeral home business, man. So y'all tune in next week. Hey, and as silly as it sounds, these conversations are as relevant as they come. Because folks is dying, then like your boy Trump said, if folks done died today, they ain't never died before. As silly as it sounds, hey, we out, man. We'll see y'all next week.
Peace.
Right, man.
Man, let me say OG name.
What's up?
Oh, man.